Hey guys, guess who showed up, and then we had to fight with audio problems for a good couple minutes. So sorry we started late. So this is an actual podcast. Cole's going to be here from Tristate EDC. So if you're listening to this on Apple iTunes, know that there is actually a video version of this you can find in the description. So I'm going to bring Cole in here in a second, and we're going to talk about a bunch of goofy stuff. So here he comes.
Bring me in. How's the audio? Are we okay?
Yeah, we're good now.
Is everything
now I
good?
can actually hear you because
I cranked everything up. I just maxed out everything. I just broke everything in my office too.
Cool.
So it's a good start. It's a good start.
It's a good way to do it. I got into some devil lettuce and then made myself a Caucasian.
White Russian?
Yeah,
what?
made myself a Caucasian.
Ah,
yeah, White Russian.
Caucasian. Caucasian.
Here, but statistically speaking,
how many
it
non-white
should have just been called. It should have just been called a Russian.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what marketing team was in charge of that one.
I've been to Russia, and I can tell you that.
I'm sorry.
Didn't see a single person of color in Russia.
There aren't. I feel like Japan's a very similar place, though.
Actually, they're all a little bit of color in Japan. So technically, I was the only Caucasian.
Well, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. There are not that many non-Japanese.
Oh no. Well, actually, surprisingly, it's
not when I was there, man. I ran into like 4 Europeans the whole time I was there.
Yeah, I think about it. I was in the military, so I was with military guys. I was on military installations.
That's not fair.
Things like that.
Yeah, that's
but,
cheating.
You know, even up where you go up in like areas like Tokyo, like I saw, there's a lot of English teachers that come from other countries.
Yes. True.
So, and they basically hang out in the same places that sailors hang out. So that's probably why I have kind of a skew. Like, oh, you're in the Navy? No, I'm an English teacher. I'm from Dublin or something.
Right.
And I'm like, you teach English? You're Irish. How do you teach English? Because I've heard Irish people speak.
I don't understand a word you're saying.
A fucking word that you said.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure that's English? I learned a little piece of information before we get into the podcast. I learned this the other day. Technically, the American accent is what used to be the British accent. The British accent has evolved. The American accent comes from. That's the way we spoke because it was more of an isolated community for so long that this accent is basically the way English was spoken a long time ago.
Yeah, that makes sense because when they came over in like the 1700s or whatever, 1600s, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So all the movies are wrong.
It doesn't take long for things to change.
For shit to go south real quick.
Yeah, for shit to go weird, turn into this.
Yeah, shit goes sideways quick around here.
Yeah. So I did get some questions together. So the first question, and this is going to be interesting.
Okay.
I'm curious, and I'm going to give you full screen. I'll take my headphones off so I can hear what's going on.
Full screen.
Well, I actually forgot something. This is typically what happens. And so the first question, you wind up having to fill a little bit of time while I go grab something.
I can handle it.
So the first question I guess, okay. I know you got the channel and everything, but what's up with the voice changer?
Well, we'll blame Nick Shabazz for it, right? So Shabazz has that goofy way of talking. We've talked about this before on lives we've been on together. Shabazz has that goofy way of talking. That's not his real voice. He lives in California. There's no way in hell it's his real voice. It just isn't. So this is my real voice. I just pitched it down a little bit. I got a kind of piercing, kind of high-pitched whine voice. It's not screechy by any means, but I just wanted to tone it down. And it sets the mood for my videos, my kind of voiceover style, if you will. But that's all it was. Is like I did the first recording without the voice changer, and then was like, let's mix it up. And then I pitched it down a few notches, and here we are. 150 some uploads later, 140 some uploads later. I think everybody hates their own voice at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? Nobody likes to hear their own voice, except for you, Mike. You do.
I imagine. I don't even pay attention. Like, it doesn't bother me. I imagine you were talking about the whole thing that we talked about with Shabazz and all that.
Yes.
I actually literally just came back a second ago and realized that the reason I couldn't hear was I was like, why can't I hear? I plugged my headphones in. I was like, oh, okay, there we go. And
figured it out.
Like, right. There we go. I got it. But yeah, I think I've told you before. I think I told you, like, Nick actually talks like that a little bit, but it's not like as
Maybe it's because he's had it on for so long that he doesn't know how to turn it off anymore. Maybe that's the problem.
It's possible. Every once in a while, I slip into poor decision. Mike, he gets talking like this, like he's
Yeah.
from Southeast Ohio.
Dude. Same, man.
And
Same.
so
you
you're
get
from
enough
Ohio.
liquor in me, yeah. I go straight for that kind of middle of Kentucky accent, man.
So Southeast Ohio. So I'm down near, and you can tell that I'm from this area because I pronounce it correctly. Newark, Ohio.
See, I don't even know where that is. I've lived here my whole life. So Newark. Okay, gotcha.
Newark.
Perfect.
Newark.
I'm a well-spoken Ohioan, you know.
So anybody that's from like left or on the left is probably not going to pronounce it correctly. So if you're right of Columbus, right and southeast, you're probably going to know that that Newark, Newark, is pronounced Nurk. And everybody knows Ohio is the only state that will have a river that's named Miami and call it Mommy, because that's definitely not the Miami River.
Yeah.
It's the
good old Miami, man. The big and little mommy.
Yeah, the big and little mommy.
We call
rivers.
It the Miami. I don't.
Huh?
I said we call it the Miami. I don't know.
Yeah, but if you're from there, you absolutely get told like that's not the way you pronounce it. That's the Mommy River. So, all right. How did you get into knives, Cole? I would imagine it's like everybody else in Ohio. Like Ohio.
Yeah. Dad sat me down when I was a boy and gave me my first pocket knife, and here we are. Bob's your uncle. You know, no, it was it was that. I mean, my dad always had guns and knives around, so I was always interested, and my grandpa was really into guns, and everybody's was, right? Yeah, so that helped. But like the real kind of like I'm okay with spending $300 on a knife, like that kind of collecting was very recent, like not like maybe beginning of the pandemic, like 2 months inside, and I was like, I need a new hobby. Do you know what I mean? two months stuck inside, and I was like,
wow, really? That's when it started?
Yeah, like hardcore for me. Like prior to this, I had a Victorinox like Swiss Champ, and I had a Spyderco Tenacious for like 15 years. Like that's all I had. That's all I needed, right?
So what you're saying is your full collection video would not be what's going to be like mine, which is 6 videos that are between 20 and 30 minutes each.
But I would probably have to do more than one. Like I have a sharpening video up, and it's just me sharpening one knife, and I was like, this will be a 15-minute video. And it turned into like a 45-minute thing. It like the challenge was, can I sharpen what's the shittiest knife I own, and can I put an edge on it? Like that was inspired by the live stream we were on the other day, where he was asking if he could donate you the knife. Oh yeah, that really shitty knife.
Ethan. Yeah,
Ethan. Yeah, see if he can donate.
He knows. He's heard me complain about like that's like my least favorite thing to sharpen is like
I will take S110V over China SS every day.
S110V is actually not as difficult to sharpen.
It really isn't. I've never had an issue with it.
S110 and S90V actually sharpen pretty easily.
Yeah, and they take a stupid edge.
Yeah, they take you like you're like, ooh, I don't want to touch that. That's going to hurt me.
Yeah, I just don't want to look at it. I just want to put it away where it's safe. But if I did a collection video tomorrow, it would be over an hour long. Because I mean, in that short amount of time, a year and a half or so, that I've been really collecting, like, in the beginning, it's like a new knife every week or a new knife every other day, right?
125.
I think there's.
I will say it's awesome. S125V is amazing, and once you sharpen it, you probably aren't going to have to do it again.
Never need to again.
Long time,
right?
But I've made knives in it and sharpened knives in it, and I can tell you that is harder than the hubs of hell.
Yeah, machining the blade steel, especially after it's hardened, forget it. Yeah. Forget it. It's rough, but yeah, the collection video would be a long one still, because I think it's like 80 some knives, or just in that period of time. So I'm making a wild guess right now. Like I'm not 100% sure, but I would imagine that because I'm still not going to do everything. I'm sorry. I've got a road rage. I've got a road rage car accidents video on YouTube up on the TV, and it's getting my attention every once in a while. I'm like, wow, that car really flipped. What a jackass!
Right now, turn. That's gonna pose a problem. I have poor attention paying skills to begin with.
Yeah.
No, I'd say if I had everything, like all the crappy stuff that I've had since high school, like United Cutlery and all the stuff that's just laying around in drawers throughout the house. I probably got 250 knives here at the house.
Yeah.
I have a milk crate full of fixed blade knives.
Milk crate? Just a milk crate.
Literally,
just a milk crate. It's fine.
Well, you haven't seen the setup for this, have you? You're currently sitting on 3 milk crates with a piece of wood on top. That's
classy.
Classy. I mean,
I feel special.
I'm on the pod couch in someone's grandma's basement.
Perfect. I'm in like a very cushy home office that I spent far too much time and money putting together.
That's actually my next question.
Yeah.
Well, are you trying to ruin it for all of us with this fucking over the top production quality you got going on your fucking channel? I mean, I dig it, but good God, you're making it hard on the fucking rest of us.
I know, man. And everybody, it's funny. I'm in the group chat. I'm in a group chat with a handful of the other fellow YouTubers. And it's ever since I joined the conversation, it's like every other week somebody's buying a new camera, and I feel like everybody's trying to play catch up right now. But
I'm not. Just so you guys know,
good.
What you do,
if what you do works, there's no reason to change. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But I've followed the knife YouTube community for a while, for 2 years now. But my channel is only 8 or 9 months old, and I guess I got to a point where I've been doing this with a camera. Like, I have as many cameras as I have knives. So cameras was like my first love.
I don't need a camera, but why don't you send me that slidey mount that you got? So my
$500 carbon fiber slider. Yeah.
I just thing. I just have a stick with a mount on it. And I
can Nap Sergeant bought there's a great alternative to that. It's literally like 4 skateboard wheels with a tripod mount on top.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just like a little skateboard like that big. It works great, but no, I've always had this equipment.
Those flowing shots.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it takes me many hours to nail down a review.
I'd imagine, because it takes me a while to get shit edited and have it come out the way I want.
And then I'm looking for movie clips or specific things to throw in, and that takes hours. But I don't know. I've had 4 YouTube channels prior to this, and none of them did well.
Really?
Yeah, a car channel, a gaming channel. One was like a vlog style channel. But I've been making videos and taking pictures for a long time. Long time.
Makes sense.
So I looked around the knife YouTube, and I was like, this can be done better. There's a prettier way to do this. So
I mean, I've been trying. I don't know if you noticed that. Could you see the intro? I can't tell if
I was impressed by the intro. I had never seen it before.
I hadn't seen it.
No, I hadn't seen it.
That was a sativa afternoon. I'm like, hey, I know I'm gonna be late for a live feed. I better have a trailer to throw up there. I better do it
just to kill some time while I clear this bong.
Oh my God, I've so screwed this up. Most of the time I'm late. It's not due to that. Like today, it absolutely wasn't.
It was tech issues for me on my end.
Yeah, sorry. But I mean, I don't necessarily think it was even 100% your fault. Because I had a hard time hearing you when it first came back up, and I was looking at. I think maybe that I hadn't had my headset, because when we tried it, I didn't have my headset in, and sometimes that screws with it because I'd had it in earlier, but nothing was muted. So
got it. Well, we're good now.
Yeah.
You mess with drone cameras. Blade Boy's asking about drones now. No. Drone shots don't work with knives. They're too small. You just lose them in the grass as the drone flies away.
Was this? Yes, Aiden, that would be cool. I would put a disco ball in my live feeds. I mean,
dude, I got the Christmas lights
bag
going
in my live feed now. I mean, what makes you think I wouldn't have a disco ball? Just like sitting back there.
Yeah, perfect. Hanging just behind your head.
Just behind my head.
Perfect.
What are we doing here? I got to change it because I was submitting resumes. I got something. I'm going to put up a picture, but we're talking about this. So now you've got enough subscribers, you can do live feeds and shit now too.
Yes, I'm finally monetized, and I've made a whole $1.50. Everybody, it's amazing.
Wow.
Thank you. It's finally paying off all that hard work.
That about another $1.50, and you could probably get a small coffee.
Yeah.
Or almost a gallon of gas. Almost a gallon of gas.
Great. It took I mean 100 140 uploads, 8 hours a piece. I don't know. That's a lot of time and effort for $1.50. that hourly rate is not good.
Well, and I tell people like, oh, well, it's like YouTube's not a job, and I used to say it. I'm like, really? Because I'll tell you what, like you could like, this is a job for me. Like I put a lot of time into it and work into it, and there's research and stuff you got to do. And the biggest part of it though is moderating comments. There are so many hateful motherfuckers out there in this world that will just try to ruin your comment section.
Yeah, and I haven't run into it much. I've run into like the Russians, like, come look at my dirty butthole on. Yeah, I've run into that kind of stuff, but I haven't run into like anybody being outwardly malicious. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like real shitty. Everybody's been very, very nice in my comment section so far.
It's typically when you the second you say something about a company like I have, like Spyderco or Benchmade.
Yeah.
Those fanboys are just
they come out of the woodworks, don't they?
They're not nice people.
No, fuck you, American Knives, fuck you. Yeah.
But so we're talking about YouTube. I was on the chat with Google today because I had a video.
I saw that. I saw your videos.
Yeah, you saw them, and I was like, "What?" So Google sends me back a response. I was like, "Well, most people, like I did a poll, and a lot of people were saying they didn't get notification, and a video that everybody said they wanted knew was coming. There was a lot. Let's be like for the first like 9 minutes of that video, I was the only person in the premiere. I'm like, well, fuck this. I'm out. I don't need to. I've watched this video already several times in the editing process. I don't need to be here for this. I do this because I enjoy the interaction. And Google tells me, like, oh, well, we only send out like 3 notifications per channel to the viewers. And I'm like, okay, 1, I didn't put up 3 things. 2, that's ridiculous because people have that choice for all notifications, some notifications.
Right. Yeah.
Or no notifications. I'm like, if you only want some, you pick some. But the people that want to know everything that you post, you're telling them, you only get 3 though. Like you get the same thing everybody else gets. I
don't understand 3. 3 what?
3 notifications. So like if you do an upload, and you start a live feed, and you do a community post, anything after that you do
does not get
notification. I'm like, okay, interesting. I could see that for that middle bell. So you have the top bell, all notifications, everything this person's does. I want to know about. You have the middle bell, which is like, okay, that's 3. Give me 3. And I hear the guy down below, like, I want to subscribe, but I don't give up. I don't want to know what the fuck he's doing.
Right. I want to just stumble upon it. Got it.
I have to do that. I have to do the thing.
My ears. I was making fun of you. I forget which. I think I was. I was when I hosted my first live the other day. Before you came on, I was making fun of you. I was like, Imler has that big fucking cowbell. So before my live stream, I was looking around for like the tiniest bell I could find, like the tiniest, tinkliest little fucking bell, like a little Christmas bell, like a little Christmas bell is what I was imagining.
And I was like, cat's collar. Just get a cat collar and take one off.
I got a cat. I'm sure I have one, but I was just looking. So every time I got a donation, I would just ring my tiny little tinkle bell.
Hey, the wife and kid are here.
The Ms. Hold on, I need to get more sauce real quick.
She closed the garage door. So feel free. Aiden, thank you very much for the donation. And now Cole, I look away and Cole has disappeared. I don't know what has happened. Oh no. More cowbell. Well, Jacob, I would love to do more cowbell, but I have a rule where you got to pay to hear the cowbell. I'm just kidding. I ring the cowbell for all kinds of stuff.
The cowbell's not free, Jake. All right. Okay. You gotta pay to get here.
I don't know what my wife's trying to do with this garage door, but she
sounds like she's having a good time.
She's
having a party, dude.
It was open like halfway. She pushed the button and it went down, and now she got it up. There she goes. Now she's got it. All right. So
yes.
So besides knives, so you're not, obviously, if you just got into this a few months ago, you're not like me, where that's the only thing you fucking do.
No.
What's your other hobbies? Because you already said gaming, cars,
Cameras was the first. I mean, I have a wall of cameras here. Music. I did a lot of music recording, singer-songwriter stuff. So I have a full recording studio set up here in the office.
Which explains the voice modulation software.
And I was a drummer in several bands for a long while. I've done a little bit of everything, man. Fountain pens was like my last big collecting hobby. I still love my fountain pens. Fountain
Fountain
pens.
pens? I've got another friend
Yeah,
that's into
dude.
fountain pens.
And there's a lot of similarities between the two communities. So one of my long-term goals is to somehow connect to the two. But the fountain pen people are a lot nicer in general than the knife people, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's not like hardcore fanboys that are like, this is the best brand and you can eat my dick and balls if you think otherwise. You know what I mean? That you don't
There's
get
not
that
too many of those in the knife community either. Those are those offshoot guys that like we just don't like them. Like we just ignore them.
They're special. But let's see, fountain pens, camera equipment. God, yeah, you know,
Christmas
a little bit of
lights.
everything.
I see that you enjoy Christmas lights. Obviously, you enjoy Christmas.
Yeah, that's only one strand. I just wanted to kind of spice it up a little bit, get in the holiday spirit, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to, guys. I forgot to do it again.
Don Miguel, the answer is Sennheiser, my dude. But they sold off their headphone brand recently. Unfortunately,
I'm on a live feed.
We love you. We miss you.
Thank you,
madam.
I heard you come home. I saw you walk through. I saw the car pull right up in front of me and leave its headlights on, as they currently are, shining right in my eyes.
Same. That's how I get my lighting. It's actually just my car.
I'm in my garage. I'm in my garage. I basically live in my garage. So somebody asked if you had voice modulation on right now, and I will say yes, because I heard. So I sent Cole a video yesterday. I was like, listening to you without the voice changer is like seeing me without my hat.
Yeah.
It is. It's like, oh, that doesn't, something about that's not right. You know what I mean?
When I went to the River's Edge Cutlery meetup, middle of the summer, into the summer, a lot of fun. But I ran into a few people that had watched my channel, know my channel, including Jake from Ohio State, and they were like, I know it's you, but it doesn't. Something's wrong. Something's not right.
I'm not putting two and two together. I'm not. Something's not.
I've seen your face, but I don't know what's coming out of your mouth right now.
I'm trying to find my notebook. Yeah. So I really don't have too many other hobbies besides the knives.
Yeah, and that explains a lot. My issue is all my hobbies are so expensive. I mean, I have a wall of guitars. I have the massive drum set, the recording studio, all the camera equipment, all the fountain pens. All of my hobbies leading up to this point created a lot of debt. Do you know what I mean? There goes the garage door. So in
high quality production here at Crazy Sharp
grade
Studios.
A grade, baby. But in order
that's how
to
you get them, you have the trailer, and then that gets them in, and they're like, this movie fucking sucks. That's what happens with like the last few Marvel movies. You're like, oh, I want to see that. And you go back.
You're like whoa, hell yeah! Right.
How do I get that time of my life back?
Right. Yep. But I guess I can't. I'm not. I love knives enough to spend 1,000 of the hours over the past few months making videos about them. And I think it's the first hobby I've ever done that for. So I don't know what you can chalk that up to. Maybe the community's better than any other community I've been a part of, or I don't know what it is, but they also take pretty pictures.
Yeah, the camaraderie that you get in the knife community is a lot like it's a lot like the military. The way everybody interacts in the knife community is a lot like how we interact in the military.
It's such a small niche. You know what I mean? It's such an extremely tiny niche, tiny corner of the internet in the grand scheme of things. And it's a lot easier to be heard or be seen, regardless whether you're just posting pictures somewhere or you're on Reddit or you're in Blade forums. It's easier to start a conversation than it is in even fountain pens is so much bigger than this. It's like so much bigger.
The pins, all the pin stuff is just huge. And it's like, so the knife and pins, watches, not as much. Like watches kind of filter in, but pins and knives seem to just go in that EDC
hand in hand, man.
Together. And like, I didn't realize how big the pin community was. And it's like, I told somebody, I equated the relationship between pins and knives as like, there's like 50% of the population that stands up to wipe their ass, and there's 50% of the population sits down. And a lot of times they don't know that the other one exists.
Right. Yeah. They'll never cross paths. They'll be in the next stall. You'll never know.
You never know. That's a weird analogy to make there, Mike. Okay. So what is your favorite knife company? It doesn't. I mean, you can even
Just
tell me it's
company-
Benchmade, and I'll put you in timeout for a second, but I'll bring you back.
It's not. Don't worry. You're safe. This is a safe space. Right now, right this second, it has to be Rayon because I haven't handled one that disappointed me in the slightest. I've
That's
never.
Solid choice.
I don't think they've made a bad knife, and if they have, I haven't handled it yet.
They've never made a bad knife. I've seen designs that I'm not such
bad designs. A different story.
But typically, they're not their design. They haven't made a bad in-house design that I can think of. I've seen other makers' designs,
and a lot of their in-house designs are very safe, very kind of toe the line, very simple, nothing too outrageous, for the most part. You know, they don't get too experimental.
Solid designs. Like I said, that Riat Horizon D of mine is the best production knife I've ever owned, and I've owned a lot of knives. Like that says a lot.
Yeah, and before I had handled anything made by Rayot, which again, my career is very short, so it wasn't that long ago. But it was, I think it was Spyderco, because I had that Tenacious for so long. I had this kind of affinity for them already.
We have to put him in timeout right now, so no one should ever say that their favorite company was Spyderco. I'm going to let him come back and say it. He can justify it. It's okay. But I just want you guys to know no one should ever say that. I don't care what he says about a safe space. My channel.
This is not a safe space.
This is a safe. No, it's not. It's an unsafe space.
This is a very dangerous place to be. No, I don't know what it was. I have no rhyme or reason. I just had that affinity because I had that Tenacious for so long. When I started seriously collecting, I knew that I liked that Tenacious. So when I started spending a little more, I was like, well, this cheap one was great. So let's try one of the more expensive ones. So
Spyderco does a really good job of marketing themselves to their core group, and that core group does a very good job of evangelizing their knives. And
well, for me, all the Spydercos I get are all the ugly fucking ones. I get the weirdest, ugliest ones. I don't get. I'm not a Pair 3 PM2 guy. I didn't own a Pair 3 or a PM2 at all until 6 months ago, like not that long ago. And prior to that, it was Yojimbo, Yojumbo, the Smock, all the weird shit. I wanted all of Spyderco's weird shit.
I didn't dislike the Yojimbo per se as what it was. I didn't think it was a very good EDC knife. I thought it was a little too thin and fragile up towards the tip and everything. But
it's deaf. I'm an insurance agent. I sit at a desk all day, so it was real good for opening those letters, man. Let me tell you.
I mean, it was a good knife, and I couldn't argue that it was a good knife. And it was so slicey because it's got that deep hollow. I just didn't think it was a good, robust knife. And then the like,
no, I'm not going to trust my life to it.
Here's another one.
Yeah, the weird shit. I love their weird shit. It's so outrageous.
This is my wife's knife. She just doesn't carry it.
That's like the perfect garden knife. It looks like the perfect gardening tool.
No, this is the perfect. I don't need any training, but I can make someone leave me the fuck alone knife. Is what that is.
It's very scary, very toothy, if you will. I'm trying to think what other Spydercos I have. I just leaned towards them. And then when I went and got a Benchmade, it was the Grizzly Ridge, and I hated it.
That's not the Grizzly Ridge. Hang on just a second. I got to ring a bell.
Oh God. I think you caught the mic on that last one there, but
I'm trying to I want to see how much it takes to actually like take the paint off of this. I'm not playing with it. I'm like,
it's probably got a 1/4 inch thick layer of fucking paint on it. The paint's more than the actual wood inside.
Thank you, Josiah. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Just make sure you get a hold of me. I do have to do a couple things tomorrow. Make sure I'm home. That's Spitfire Custom. He's a
rock
Marine.
Jumper. Nice.
He's a Marine up in Pendleton. He's coming down. I have his he let me borrow his really rare cold steel Archangel Bally. I'd never gotten to see one. I remember seeing him when I was younger and always wanted to get to see one back when I did enjoy having Bally's around, and I never got to see one. He let me borrow it.
I've never owned a Bally song. I've never owned one.
Well, I'm an 80s, like an 80s kid.
Right.
You know,
it was nunchucks, Bally songs. Yeah.
Like bullshit. I took martial arts for years. I still have a set of nunchucks, a set of sai. I have a bunch of martial arts equipment still from taking martial arts my entire adult. Well, I mean, I had it. I took it because you know I took martial arts. I still have 3 live edge swords here at the house from taking Well, one of them was a gift from my father-in-law. It's an actual Japanese 400-year-old sword that he bought the blade and then I got the handle and stuff done. But I have 2 custom made swords that I used for cutting when I took Japanese martial arts. So it's just stuff that we collect. Like there's so much stuff here laying around this house,
dude.
Like, edged stuff everywhere.
It is a slippery slope, man.
It is. It's like you get
take it from me. A year and a half ago, I was happily carrying a Victorinox and a fucking Spyderco Tenacious, and here we are a year and a half later, and it's like, what $300 knife is going to show up today? Who knows? You know what I mean?
I got a $1,200 knife in the pants of my pajamas right now.
I haven't gotten there yet. I
got a knife. I got a knife that costs more than my first 2 cars I owned put together.
Yeah, something's got to get paid off for me to get to that level. I got to pay off the house or pay off the car, one of the two.
I literally, we paid off both cars. We sold the house, and that's when I was comfortable doing it. But I had literally been saving nickels, dimes, pennies, quarters, and anything. Anytime I had anything that I could squirrel away, I put it away in a separate account. And I literally picked up change off the street, and I had enough for the knife for a long time. I just didn't feel comfortable spending what I spent on it until
there's a difference between having it and having enough to comfortably spend it, right?
Yeah,
to
exactly.
feel okay about it.
Well, and that's like people ask why I do the GoFundMe for the kids skating. And I was like, it's not that, like, yeah, skating's expensive, but we've always taken care of that. It's all these the off the wall stuff. Like a pair of the blades for her skates costs costs like $600 for a pair of blades. And so
what's the blade steel on those, huh? What do we know? Do we have a test?
Remember, I do know what they are.
420J?
No, you know what it is?
440?
It's AUS 8. They're AUS 8 blades.
Really?
In her skates. Yeah. That's
okay,
I was
believe
back
that.
in my brain trying to think of it, and I couldn't think of it. It's AUS 8. And then I remembered we were talking about cold steel.
That seems marked up. That seems marked up a little bit. $600 for some AUS 8?
It's not that. It's the whole assembly, the titanium mounting.
I know. It's ridiculous.
The boots that she wears are like $600. So if that's what I'm saying, when one of those things goes wrong, when equipment goes wrong, that's why I do a GoFundMe. That leaves us with some. Hey, Nick's here from Stasa 23.
Nick, what's up, man? How you doing, Stasa?
Oh, Aiden, thank you very much for putting up the GoFundMe. So favorite company, I can't fault you for like I said, I can't fault you for the Spyderco thing. I loved the whole thing is I loved Spyderco knives for a long time.
And that was my phase. I had that phase, you know what I mean?
Well, my whole thing was that didn't change until I started seeing some serious quality issues with stuff and the price point staying the same. Like I'm okay.
Or going up. Staying the same or going up.
Yeah, I'm okay with things like, okay, so things they've cut some corners but now they're cheaper.
Yeah.
But the last 3 Spydercos, I love the Endura series. So the last 3 Spyderco Enduras, every one of them had something wrong with it. One of them had crazy blade play, and the only way to get rid of it was tighten, and it would get to the point where the blade would still wiggle, and you had to use it was a 2-hander to open it. And I was like, okay, so I sent that one back. And I had one that the blade was so far off center, it rubbed the FRN, and I sent that one back. And then I got one as a gift, and the heat treats fucked on it. So it doesn't even hold an edge. And I'm like,
I guess all the ones I ever got were compression locks. And I love the compression lock because it was so fidgety, you know, and I didn't know any better. But I never had, the only time I would have issues with a Spyderco is when I would take it apart and like swap out the scales or do something else to it. That's when I started to have issues with it. But from the factory, I don't think I've ever had an issue with one.
I love their lockbacks with the boiled dent in them. They're just about perfect, if you want to know the truth. If you get a good one,
right? And it seems like you're struggling to find a good one, right?
Yeah. You got to go through so many returns on Amazon to get a good one that you're like, you know, I lucked out.
Well, and I got to tell you,
really
it's been a long time since I saw Spyderco, and I was like, ooh, you know what I mean? It's been a minute. I think the Canis was the last one where I was like, that looks fucking wild. I think that might have been the last new Spyderco I bought.
I think that the best built Spyderco that I can think of that I've seen, even though I don't like the knife, and Nick Shabazz and I go back and forth on this, it's like a running gag.
The Schließ buoy.
I don't like that knife.
Yeah, I've never. I handled a few at the River's Edge meet. That is about
their best showing as far as like how a knife was done and built. It was done very well.
I mean, I have the chef and the sway back they did, and I love them both. I still have them. But
yeah, that's the one that I could point out like that and it made me so mad. I was like, this is the best Spyderco they've done in just ever done. and it's got to be this one. Like, this is the one you did. This is the one you threw that at. That's the one you put so much effort into.
Yeah, and it is sad that this proud American company, their best work, is coming out of Taiwan. And I love Chinese knives. Rayot's my favorite company right now. But have a little pride in what's done here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of the QC issues, most of them come from the American-made Spydercos.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I actually told Sal, Eric, the last time I saw him, I was like, he was like, you're filming everywhere. You're not going to film. I was like, Eric, I used to love Spyderco. I just personally think that there's too many things. And I was like, and you guys is sharpening on your stuff that's coming out of Golden, Colorado with that robot sharpening you're doing that's supposed to be so good is garbage.
Are they? Is that the one that's cooking all the edges?
No, every one of them I've had that came in has got so for everybody that knows, heel, tip.
Yeah.
On the show scale side, it's the worst. It's like it kicks in and it's so asymmetrical when you sharpen it.
It's like shallow towards the heel and really deep towards the tip.
Deep and deep. It's like it's cut in here and here, and so you got to sharpen that out, and it cuts.
Interesting. It's almost like the blade's bowed when they're sharpening it. That's weird.
The bevel cuts way down in, and then when you're sharpening it, you can actually on a stone, as you're sharpening, look at it, and you can see where you're
touching the top and the bottom, but not the middle.
You're touching, and then you get up here, and then there's a spot like that far where there's still just the original factory edge because your stone just won't touch it.
Yep.
And you're like,
and you got to like grind away and grind away and grind away.
And you're like, oh, hey, no, that's not what that's me.
Not
what I wanted.
We don't want that ugly fuck. Hey, NAF Sergeant's in the house. What's up, man? What you doing?
NAF Sergeant, I saw your post today. Thanks. I actually got to I ate dinner with NAF Sergeant up at Blade Show West. It was fun. That was the night that they were.
I need to make it out, man. I need to make it out to one of the two.
I will, in all likelihood, be at not Blade Show, but SHOT Show in Vegas. Are you going to SHOT Show in Vegas? That's kind of almost the halfway point. We could meet up.
When is that?
End of January timeframe.
Yikes, man! I don't know.
Come on,
I don't know.
Just sell some of that. Just sell some of that incidental insurance to a bunch of businesses. Like, okay, this is the one that helps keep your workers' comp fees down.
I don't do that kind of insurance.
I know. I did. I did though, and actually, it sells for. I was telling somebody the other day. I was like, "Well, you couldn't have made money who did insurance." I was like, "I actually made pretty good money." I just
commissions on that stuff is so great.
Oh, I still get residuals.
Nice. We get that renewal money, man.
Every time. It's not much. It's like your YouTube money.
Yeah, right. Yeah, $1.50, baby. When people are like, that has to be so boring. And it's not that I'm in love with what I do every day, but I love talking to strangers, if that's not violently apparent. I bet your
parents were that, but that was a nightmare for them. Like,
no, dude, I grew up in
like we've warned him. You're gonna.
I grew up in small town ass Ohio in the 90s. There was nothing could have gone wrong.
That's where I wanted to. That's what I wanted to ask you. So you're not. I know you're not originally from Cincinnati.
No, but I'm half an hour north.
Okay, so
yeah. Lebanon, Ohio, in between Dayton and Cincinnati. Yeah, the Golden Lamb, the world famous Golden Lamb.
Yep, I was getting
and the chocolate turtle factory.
I was getting ready to ask you if it was like because you said 30 minutes, and I was like, he's got to be up there, Lebanon somewhere. Yeah,
Lebanon. It's pronounced Lebanon, Lebnn.
So it's like Nurk. So that's the funny thing. Like, yes, I fed everything.
Did you feed your wife? No, sorry, I didn't.
I don't know how many times I have to explain this to her in the dark. This is my fucking job right now.
Yeah.
Until things
you're fired, Mike. You're fired. Your wife interrupts you too much.
So, okay. But no, it's weird that I know a lot of people from California that have no idea where any of the other cities are, except like the city that's north or south of them. But if you're from Ohio. I don't know what it is they teach in Ohio, like Ohio geography.
Yeah, geography. Yeah.
I know. I can tell you where everything in Ohio. When somebody tells me where they're from in Ohio, I'm like, oh, that's up near Buckeye Lake, off just about 3 miles up there, or New London.
Well, because it's literally two roads north at 75 and 71. It's two roads, all of Ohio, and it's just all that matters is like right in the middle. Nobody
Columbus.
cares about the far west or the far east. Nobody gives a shit. It's all right up the middle because it's Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Toledo, and Cleveland.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
it.
you have
Nothing
the
else
big
matters.
corners, so you have the corners, and then you have
Yep.
Wheeling. Did you ever go to Wheeling? You ever go to Wheeling Island and watch the little dogs run? And they're
Never.
like little horses.
If I was going anywhere, it was south of here. So I never went north of basically the greater Cincinnati area.
See, I went everywhere because I went to Cedar Point and I went to Kings
Yeah,
Island.
I grew up 5 minutes from Kings Island, though. I grew up right
that's what I
next to
say.
Kings
Well,
Island.
I've been
right.
to both. I've been to both.
Yeah. So we got an annual pass and called it a day, man. I never went to Disney World. I never went to Cedar Point. Fuck that shit. I could walk to Kings Island.
Cedar Point's awesome. Like
Cedar Point's lit.
We went to Knott's. I was telling him we went to Knott's Berry Farm yesterday, and we didn't plan this very well, but it was Veterans Day, and it was the only day that my daughter was off from school. Technically, she still has to attend daily, even though it's online.
Right.
And so it was Veterans
She's
Day.
on her phone. She's on her phone in a farm somewhere. Doing her in person.
Knott's Berry Farm is the big amusement park that I sent you pictures.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
That's the name of it, and it's owned by Cedar Fair, so it's the same company that owns Cedar Point
and Kings Island
and Kings Island. So the same company. So anyway, we're up there, and so we planned this out, and I didn't think about the fact it's Veterans Day, and they're doing it so everybody can get in. Everybody that's military can get in, and their guests can get in for $20 each.
Not bad.
Which is like way under half price for a regular ticket. And so we get there, and this place is a madhouse, and it's 90 degrees.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was a 90. It was 90. Actually, it was like 90.
45 fucking degrees here.
It was 93 degrees today. It's still 79 degrees in my garage right now.
It's 37 right now.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't come back. My mother was always like,
"That's why I don't come back.
Christmas? Why don't you come back for Christmas?" And I'm like, frozen water still falls out of the sky.
It makes you stronger. The struggle keeps you strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I can stand 93-degree heat and walk around an amusement park all day and barely break a sweat. So I'm good with that.
Try that in the wait. No, you're up. Where are you? It gets humid there, doesn't it?
It depends. Like sometimes it does. It just depends on what the
93 here. Out west, dude. I could walk around. It's 110 and not sweat a bead of sweat.
It was only like 16% humidity yesterday.
Yeah, dude. If it's 93 here, it's like 93% humidity, and you're just like swimming around. Oh yeah,
I lived there.
I know you did. 17. I know you did. This is for the people that are listening. To help them understand the struggle.
I'll tell you what we do have here, and I was explaining this to someone else, and so you're from Ohio, so you'll get it. The difference between California and Ohio. So we have snow in Ohio, and when it snows out here in California, even when you drive up into the mountains, unless you're going like Big Bear, like the ski resorts, you get it's like a couple inches, and they're like, "Oh my god, it snowed so much," and I'm like, "This isn't snow. Like, go back home and you walk outside, and if you didn't beat the snowplow, you're not going to work."
The past decade or so, man, I'm telling you that I couldn't tell you the last time we got a decent snowfall here.
Yeah. But out here in California, if you're close, like I'm literally like 6 miles from the ocean, if that. I actually am closer than that. I'm like 10 minutes from the ocean at highway speeds.
Must be hard, man. I'm 10 minutes from the Ohio River.
And so, right? So, but when it gets foggy, when it gets really foggy, like it's unbelievable. Like I went outside, I opened a garage door the other night, and it's like I had opened the garage door up against, and like there was a pillow leaned up against the garage door. I was like, good God. And I walked outside and I was going to take a picture of it, but you couldn't. And like I was outside for like 10 minutes. My clothes were wet. I was soaked. It was like it was raining.
Sitting in a cloud, man.
And so when I was telling my sister, I was like, you don't know what it's like. Like we had fog. But like Californians would come to Ohio and be like, that's not fog. Like you can breathe in this. Like you don't go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, that's actually cancer smoke from the.
It's just so full of. It's like when you used to take the vaporizer and turn it to your face and go. When you were a kid, you're like,
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you kind of touched on it. I have to ask you, at this point in your collecting, what is too much for a knife? Like, what is the limit where you go, I just can't justify that? And I mean, I know it's a lot of that has to do with like the amount of money you spend on all your other hobbies.
Right. As it stands, I think the most I've spent on a knife is $375, and that was the Evo Typhoon, the full size Bowie. I love it.
That's a good knife.
I love it. It's really a great knife to be the most expensive knife in my collection. It's definitely the crown jewel. But for me, there's so much to be had under that $350 price tag that I haven't felt the need to go beyond it yet. You know, there's still so much insanity to experience below that $350 number.
Well, see, but you came into the knife community, into the knife collective community at a good time for that. Because
Yes.
it didn't used to be like there's.
Yeah. This is a very recent kind of happening, if you will.
There are no jokes, some $30 knives that are as good, if not better, than some $200 knives I've owned. Like, I'd be like, good God, where was this fucking 10 years ago?
The CJRB Feldspar, man. All the CJRB knives.
CJRB RIA. Like,
when I was a kid, like that, you had your budget options were like CRKT Walmart dog shit or a Spyderco Tenacious. Like those were your options. You didn't have any other options.
Spyderco had some good, more budget knives.
Yeah, they did back in the day, and they were really well made.
I had $110 stainless steel Spyderco Endura, all stainless, the press fit.
Yeah. Yep.
And I loved that knife. And there's a guy I was stationed with. Well, he was stationed and I was retired, and I was working for the federal government at the time. But he fell in love with that knife. And he's like, "Is my knife still okay?" And so when he retired, I gifted. He didn't. I told him, "I'll buy you one." He goes, "No, I want that one." And I was like,
"Yours,
right.
Yeah."
And so when when he retired at his retirement ceremony, I boxed it up and gave it to him as a gift. And that started that whole thing where I had 3 back-to-back bad Enduras. And I'm like, I guess I'm just not going to have an Endura. I kept one of the shitty ones. I kept one of the shitty ones just because that will keep me from buying another one.
As a reminder.
I have one.
Just as a reminder, yeah.
That's what that tattoo's for.
Yeah, the tribal tattoo is a reminder. Don't do that again.
I woke up in a hotel in Philippines. Woke up in a hotel in the Philippines, and my cousin is there, and he's like, "This isn't our hotel." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "That's not Manila." And we were in the wrong city. Did like wake up blackout drunk, wake up in a hotel room somewhere. And I was like, "Well, our autopilot functions well, apparently," because we were able to purchase a hotel room, get in it, and sleep
while thoroughly intoxicated,
while blackout drunk, and we didn't remember how we got to the next city. Like, we woke up in a new city and didn't know how we woke up in Angeles City.
What's the city called? Where am I?
Like, literally, no, my biggest concern, I was like, "That's not Manila." And he goes, "I know." And I was like, "What day is it?" And he goes, "Oh, it's only Tuesday." I was like, "Oh, cool. We got 2 more days to figure this shit out."
Yeah, we're not going to miss the flight. We're fine.
We just got to figure out how to get to Manila because our clothes are in the other hotel room that we booked for those 4 days. That's all we got to do, man. Come on.
We got to find our clothes. Help.
No, we knew where they were. They were in a hotel halfway across the island.
Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you guys that story at the end. That was interesting. What is your favorite steel in a knife? And why?
Ooh.
Because I have two differing opinions on steels.
You know, lately I've been really loving LMAX. Okay, you know what? I got to tell you, CTS XHP period is one of my favorites, and you don't see it enough, especially in the price range that I shop at. That is one of my favorite, and then probably it's a toss up between M390 just because and LMAX, but I think I like LMAX a little more. I don't know what it is about it. I think it's the name. It feels exotic, But but only M390 when it's done right. Because if it's bad M390, nothing will soften your pants, so to speak, than bad M390.
I was gonna say, so you said XHP.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of XHP. I had the first knife I ever had in CTS XHP was a Spyderco Native.
Oh.
And it was I got it because it was the first time I'd ever seen that. It was a Knife Center exclusive because it was the anniversary of them being the first company to ever sell Spyderco knives online. And it was done in a specific handle color, and it was done in CTS XHP, and it came, and that was a great, great knife. My brother-in-law still has it, carries it. I gifted it to him, my sister's husband. But I just didn't. I never got the edge I wanted on that knife. And then I heard Elliot Williamson. It had to have been a heat treat issue. Yeah. And I heard Elliot Williamson say it. He goes, "Yep, CTS XHP." He's like, "It's one of those steels that, like, depending on a heat treat, will take a shit edge, but it'll hold it forever. Like, it's not going to take a very good edge he's like, even if it's poorly heat treated, it takes a garbage edge, but it still holds it forever." And he had done a lot. He had done some knives in it, but I never liked CTS XHP until I got I got a custom, and I can't remember who made it. It was in for sharpening, and I was like, good God, this is so much different. And then I got
When it's
cold
done right.
steels. Yeah, I got a cold steel in CTSX HP, and I was like, okay, this is what CTSX HP is supposed to be like.
Right. Tactile, the Rockwall, they nailed the heat treat. That thing is stupid thin and slicey and has held its factory edge. And I beat the fuck out of it. Has just held its edge forever. I never have to even look at it. And same goes for the slayback or the swayback, the Spyderco swayback. They dialed in that heat treatment, and it's so good and slicey. But those are my high end steels. My two favorite budget steels have to be 154 and 14C.
14C, yeah,
28,
14C.
man. It's so good.
14C,
It's such a perfect all around steel.
14C, 440C. Or 420C, 420C, the stuff that Buck uses with their cryo heat treat. That stuff actually is great.
People get scared away. Like the 440 Akuto that Tangram was using was amazing. Amazing.
Akuto's different though. Akuto steel is a different. So they called it 440 just because they had no other way to explain to people what Akuto was.
Yeah,
but
that stuff was dynamite.
420C. ARRPM 9, Aiden already said it. I love that ARRPM 9 that Artisan.
I haven't messed around with it yet.
I'll send you. I have got like 6 different versions of my sea snake. I'll send you my sea snake. I'll send you one of them to carry.
Send it on down.
I'll send you the all black version that I carry. But yeah, I like that. And then when Artisan told me they were doing a Blade Show West exclusive, like, yeah, we put it in S35V, and I was like, but why? I like the ARRPM 9 is actually a better
cheap
steel.
Steel's better.
And they're like, well, but it's like for $160. And I was like, why would you take that $40 knife I designed that was designed to be a $40 knife and turn it into a $160 knife?
Yeah. And so it sounds like a Blade HQ kind of thing.
Well, they we were talking about it at Blade Show West because we had exclusive. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not like trying to bag on the other 2 or the other 3 designers.
Suckers.
So Chris's knife didn't outsell mine because Chris's knife was $400, but his was in like high end material from Cerberus knives. That Arian.
Yes, the Arian. I have one. I love it.
So he had one that was all black titanium, Timascus pivot collars, Timascus pocket clip, and S35 VN blade. It's a beautiful.
But why S35?
Because that's like the higher end stuff they could get. So he got that one, and it's beautiful, and they're all serialized. Mine are 1 through 60. His were 1 through 12. They only made 12 of them because they were so expensive. They're $400 each.
They're probably taking a loss on it, or breaking even.
Swags is Myalea. They did an exclusive version of hers with I can't remember if that was but at any rate, so our knives were like 160, and Dylan Mallory had one there that was there as well. And I was like, okay, so there's like, great, like you got 60 of mine. I think you made like fucking 40 too many. And we leave, and everybody's telling me, it's like, bro, because I didn't spend a lot of time selling stuff at the table. I was there. I was answering questions because there's not much room. I'm a big guy. There's not much room behind that table for me and a bunch of other people.
I've done a lot of trade shows in my time.
And so Swags was running that. She does really good. Used to work at Smoky Mountain Knife Works. So she did a great job. But everybody was like, we got ready to leave. Everybody was like, bro, we sold way more of your sea snakes than any of the other. I was like, you sold a knife that's $100 more
than what it should
average
be
selling price. And you sold more of those. And they're like, well, there's a lot of people here that know you. And I was like, there's that many people here that know me?
Apparently.
That's the thing that amazes me. That always surprises me. No, it doesn't. But I mean, as a YouTuber, it does. I mean, I'm super small YouTube channel. Jared's still a super small YouTube channel compared to some of the big ones. But when it happens, you get that little taste of like, kind of like, oh, that recognition, or that kind of like, I don't know if you want to call it fame, like that YouTube fame. I've gone places and people are like, you're crazy sharp. I know you. And I was like, great. And you are. And I have to remind them that like YouTube doesn't work both ways. Like I can't see you.
Yeah, I can't see you. You're just a name, and it's not even your real name 90% of the time.
90% of the time. But RPM, Stasa says the ARRPM 9 is some good stuff. It really is. It holds.
I've heard great things. What is it like? What's it based on? Is it based on 14C, or is it based kind of 9CR?
No, it's okay. So it's really similar to 9CR, but it has some additional rare. It has some cobalt, and the fact that it's powdered and it's really designed. The cobalt, like it looks like such a minuscule amount. but it's enough that it changes it from being like 9CR to being something that's way different. That at 600 grit will cut and cut and cut.
Yeah.
And then when it gets dull, 9 times out of 10, if you wrap a block of wood with a piece of newspaper, you can. I did a video of it. I stropped it from like it won't cut real well. It won't cut hair, and stropped it right back up to hair popping on a piece of newspaper with like 6 passes on each side. And I was like, good God, this stuff strop. I've never had a steel that strops that well.
That's why I love 154 so much.
154 will do that. It's just almost as well.
It's just you don't have to try. You know what I mean? It is like an idiot-proof steel. You know, it really is.
And I like it because you can take it up to a super high grit, like a nice polish, and you still have, because those carbides are large and they're really.
You still got some bite. Still got some
got a
tooth
good
left.
bit of bite. Aiden says Terravantium looks interesting. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. We were talking about it with the Terravantium, the dendritic.
There's a lot of steel, so I'm a big nerd when it comes to the steel stuff too. I get really excited when something new comes out. Like I want to mess around with Van X.
There's no steel in it. It's not steel. It's cobalt.
Sorry, listen, pal. All right, didn't know I was on Bill Nye the Science Guy's fucking podcast.
Look here, this is hillbilly version. This is the Southeast Ohio version of Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Welcome.
It's Mike.
Come on in, sit right down.
Mike's gonna teach some shit. That's what
dendritic
we call
cobalt.
It here.
That's what Terravantium is. But I'm talking in general. Like Van X is another one I really want to mess around with. All of the crazy. I've not experienced 90V yet, and I haven't experienced 125. And there are a bunch, Rex 45, and a whole bunch of weird shit out there.
I've got.
I don't want to play with.
No, I don't have a knife here in S125 that I can send you. I actually sold that. I had made a small knife in S125E and wound up selling it because,
money,
roof lights, food,
money.
Child.
Those Christmas lights ain't gonna light themselves, pal.
Right.
So between S110V and S90V, what's your pick between those two?
I prefer S90V. I think it takes a toothier edge, and it's a little easier to sharpen than S110. S110 is still not horrible to sharpen.
Yeah, we talked
as
about
long
it.
as
It really isn't.
As long as it's done well, and as long as it's ground thin behind the edge. If you're getting like a thick like chopper, God,
it doesn't. It's the steel's not meant for that.
No. Rubicon says, what about RWL34? RWL34 is like, I was only talking about budget steels. RWL34 is up there with
and ZDP 189 and shit like that.
Well, I don't necessarily like ZDP 189 as much as other people. I don't. I've had bad experiences with it, and then it has a tendency like YXR the same way. It has a tendency to rust, and YXR, even at a high polish like on a Rockstead, will rust through the DLC. DLC is thin enough that moisture can actually penetrate it. Like
seep through. Little seepage.
Even though it's super hard, that doesn't mean it's not impenetrable. That's why I like the ceramic coating, because it's completely impenetrable.
Yeah,
but,
good stuff.
Yeah, RWL34 is super clean. Like I've never had anything bad in RWL34 because it's super fine. It's super clean. There's very few inconsistencies. It takes.
Is it a stainless?
Screaming at, yeah. It's what's on the Norseman. That's what the.
Yep.
So
the old Grimsmo.
Screaming sharp edge, holds it decent. It strops up relatively easily. I mean, it's just really good to work with if you're a sharpener. It's a sharpener's dream. And then M390, of course, one of my favorite steels, 20 CV. I've made almost all my knives in 20 CV with
20 CV's up there too. Yeah, I guess when I say M390 is one of my favorite. Yeah. I guess I'm saying M390.
Yeah, you're
204.
right. M390.
It's the lot.
M390 is a little bit better. Like the edge it takes is a little more consistent and feels a little.
I've
bit
noticed
different.
that too. Between this and 20 CV, 9 times out of 10, I'll take M390.
The formulation is almost identical. It's not a formulation issue. I was talking with Elliot Williamson about it. He says that it's just they're on like Gen 3 or 4 of their powdered metallurgy. The way it's mixed, the way it's powderized.
They've been doing it a lot longer.
They've been doing it a lot longer than anyone's, and that's a lot of it. So favorite steel. I don't have it with me. I have a question for you.
Yes. A query.
Small.
Hey, take care, Brandon. Thanks for coming in,
Brandon
my
leaving?
dude. The Thrash Man is out of here. K390
Later.
Ethan is another one I want to play with. And K110?
K110. I just sharpened K110.
Yeah, it's another one I want to mess with.
It sharpens pretty relatively easily, and it takes a creepy, like,
well, it's
very
edge, like, very D2-ish, right? Very,
yeah, you're like,
along
God,
those same lines.
Really
yeah,
toothy.
yeah, kind of saw blades.
What's your favorite way to sneak a knife into an amusement park?
Oh, I have not been to I started collecting in the middle of a pandemic, so I didn't.
Oh,
I haven't been to one.
Question.
I'm sorry. That is a good question. If I had to, man, dude, I haven't been to an amusement park in so long. Holy shit. It's probably been 15 years. Since I was a kid, at least.
Yesterday.
Like, I probably, since I was like probably 13 or 14 was the last time I went. I don't know, man. And when I was going when I was a kid, it's not like they were patting you down and running you through. Yeah. At least not until 9/11 and all that shit.
So
but,
I carried my Norseman all day yesterday inside an amusement park after I
of all the knives, you get the most ridiculous one.
After I had walked through a walk-through metal detector, got my bag searched, and got wanded, I still carried this all day.
What was it? Up your ass or something? What'd you do?
So, like, everybody goes to amusement parks. You know you're going to eat. You got a backpack. I carried one of those hard-sided Huggies, like the baby wipes, the wet ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I filled it, and I opened it up, and I stuffed my knife in between the wet ones, the wet wipes, and then closed it and put it in my backpack. And once we got through all that shit, I just opened it up, pulled it out between, and stuck it in my pocket. You just got to remember to do that every time you leave the park and come back in. I've carried it. I've worn like my great big saddle bronc belt buckle and stuffed it in my waistband behind that because they hit it like, you're wearing a belt buckle, like, yeah, and they look at it like, okay.
Well, okay, things must be different in Ohio, man, because I feel like I could go walk into anywhere with a fucking knife on me.
You say that, but the county, well, see here, like,
I was when me and Kara got married, when we were getting married, we went to the courthouse, and I walked right through. Cops like, "Hey, you doing, buddy? What's going on, man?" You know, and I had a fucking what did I have in my pocket? I think I had my Evo on my Evo type. Just walked right through the metal detectors, set the fucker off. They're like, "You're good. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fact. Like, I mean, I understand it. You don't have near as many people. Like, I was at an amusement park just outside of LA.
Cincinnati's a very small, big city.
So you got to figure there were people from San Diego, Anaheim, Orange, Riverside, and Los Angeles, all at that amusement park yesterday at Buena Park, and it was crazy crowded. And the fact is, you can pick them out of a lineup. They have a large gang problem in that city.
And we don't have that here.
Yeah, so you know, I understand what there's rules, but my thing is,
we killed them all. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
And good on you for it. I just like my daughter's like, well, why do you think you have to have a seat or a pocket knife? And I was like, if I'm stuck somewhere and I'm stuck in something, I want to be able to cut myself loose. Like, if we're in a water ride and something happens, I want to be able to get the fuck out.
Yep. Comes in handy, man, in ways that you don't know until you need it.
Right. I almost feel naked when I don't have a knife. Yeah, that's my current.
I always have, and I always have, even with the Tenacious and the Victorinox. Like I was like, you know, I'll get to work and I would freak out because even when I just had the one knife or the two knives, I was like, where's my knife? I've always been a carrier, you know. I just have never been a collector until recently.
So you're like Typhoid Mary then?
I don't know what that means, but sure.
Typhoid Mary, she had typhoid but never caught it. She just was a carrier. They put her out on an island by herself. She was a cook.
Got it. Yeah, that's me.
Always a carrier, but not a. There you go. Sorry, it was a poorly thought out joke.
I'm sorry. Yeah, over my head, man. It's remember it's pushing midnight here. You got to keep that in mind.
That's true. I forget, but I don't sleep, so it really doesn't matter. Like, I sleep when I feel like it.
I need my beauty sleep to maintain this voluptuous mustache.
I sent Cole a video yesterday. We were at the amusement park. It was so crowded. Like, that video that I sent you was a picture of a line to get food.
Yeah.
And I had somebody tell me, I was like, I'm leaving, man. It was a 45-minute wait
for food
to get a lemonade. And I was like,
to pay $12 for lemonade, no less. Yeah.
And my daughter was like, well, we could eat. And I was like, eat where? She's like, well, we can stick around and see if the lines. We can stick around and see if the lines were going to get shorter. And I was like, yeah, we could. And so we stuck around till like 4. And I kept looking, and I kept looking online, and the wait times went up. And we got home at like 6. We left there at 4, 2-hour drive back home. We got here at 6, and she was like, I wonder if the lines got shorter. And I looked at it, and the lines were like 3 and 4 hours per ride. We rode 2 rides yesterday. 3 or 4 hour wait. Yeah, we rode 2.
Man, last time I went to Kings Island, I rode like 20.
last time we were there, we rode the log ride like 15 times in a day. And that we rode everything else in the park. We just like the log ride because there's all kinds of goofy shit. So
damn. Yeah, busy days at the park are never a good time, man.
Yeah, and that's our only chance to go because I was going to address this in the beginning. I forgot. Guys, I'm going to let you guys know it's going to be kind of weird for the next the next little bit because we are actually in the process of getting everything set up for my wife and daughter to go to Japan. My wife has
I want to go.
Well, my wife has not been
Take me.
My wife has not been home in almost 3 years. Because we missed a year because she had gotten sick or something had happened, and so she couldn't go. And then COVID hit, and now she hasn't been able to go. So we're getting it all figured out. So I have not filmed anything. There is nothing set for next week. So all those videos that I told you guys that I had prepared, and I've burned through them. I have nothing. So there may be a couple days next week with no video. I am going to try and stick with the plans, but. Yeah, my mother-in-law has not been good. She caught COVID here not long ago. My sister-in-law has had cancer.
How are they doing over there
from cancer
with COVID?
It's not that. I don't want to. You know what? I don't even talk about it because every time anybody says anything about the COOF pandemic, their channel fucking winds up getting fucking flushed down the toilet. I'd rather not do that.
I'm just curious how Japan was. Yeah, right. All right, we'll talk about it.
Offline about it.
I wanted that insider secret. How shit's going over there.
There's something I'll tell you that has been a point of contention here since Joe Rogan came out, but that was the first drug that they gave my wife. We're not going to say what it is. Please don't say it in the comment section, but
I know what it is, but I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, so. I know what it is, but yeah, that's so. I heard you talking about this. What are you?
It's my wife's cup. It's the biggest water cup we have in the house, so I stole it. It's my big pink cup. Sponsor me, Starbucks. Sponsor me.
Not judging. Sponsor me. I put it on my channel.
Well, sponsor either one of us. Either one would be great.
I'll give you a commission.
I'll take it just a little bit.
I heard you kind of talking about this the other day, and which is why it's on my list of questions. When we were in the live feed with John, hoping not to see either his murder or his accident live,
or him murder someone else on accident.
I'm thinking of murder someone on accident. I think that's neglect.
It's manslaughter.
Homicide or
manslaughter.
It's
manslaughter on it. Yeah,
Knife that you wish you had. A knife that you don't have anymore. A knife that you got rid of that you wish you still had. Like, regret. Like, I regret that.
I've never gotten rid of a knife. I've only been collecting a year and a half. I've never been.
It then that was saying? I mean, let's not lie. I got heavy into the devil lettuce the other night when it was on your feed.
It's all right.
I literally was
There's no rules. There's no rules here.
And he's like, you're coming on the feed. I'm like, oh god. I thought you.
The DoorDash thing was funny.
I thought you had said you got rid of a knife and regretted it. It may have been David. That may have been David.
Yeah, I'm trying to offload just 3 and I can't get rid of them. So
what are you trying to get rid of?
Archaeo, full-size Archaeo, titanium, carbon fiber inlays, man.
Guys, the Archaeo. Is that the actual frame lock, or is that the
this is the titanium frame lock, baby.
I like the smaller one. I like the smaller one with the pin. I actually like that.
Really? I mean, this thing's so good. It is. I need to make room. I like looked at my pre-order list and I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean?
You know what? Everybody shits on Artisan, but I don't.
They do amazing work. They were one of the first Chinese companies I fell in love with. Them and Best Tech. I was in love with them for long before Weeks. They were always more affordable than we for the same materials.
And they told me that they would be willing to do that knife, and I'd seen the quality of the other stuff. And when they sent me the prototypes, they sent me the prototypes of my sea snake, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, literally, it came, I opened it, and like 45 seconds later, I was like, yeah, the design is
Where do I sign?
Then they wanted me to test the steel because it was an AR-RPM9.
Ooh, the Fornix. I did get rid of a knife. The Wii Fornix. I forgot. I traded it to Sinister.
And do you regret it?
I do, because I don't think they're going to make any more of those.
Hey Duke, send that shit to me so I can review it. I just want to see it. Not to shit on Cole and just rub salt in the wound. I just want to see
the
it.
action was great. You know, the ergos were okay. It was a little thin. It looked really cool. I bought it because I had the harpoon tip on it. I didn't have any blade. I had never handled or reviewed anything with a harpoon style blade. And I always like the look of it. It's a very attractive knife, and it's the all black.
Though. That's not a knife with a harpoon tip. I don't know why, but that's not one you pull out in public because people are like, oh my god.
Yeah, you can't dial down a harpoon. You really can't, right? But I realized as I was boxing it up to send it to Sinister Knife Clips that it was one of like 200, and they weren't making any more. And I was like, oh well, I traded him for an M4 Smock.
That's not a bad trade though.
Which I love, and that thing has that crazy titanium coating on the blade, which is really impressive. Really impressive.
It is. I did not like the Smock for me. Like I just didn't like the design, but that's a solid knife. Like I could look at it and say I can see why people like it. I just don't like it.
Yeah, and at the time, that's my most viewed video. I think it's up to like 6,000 views or something like that.
God damn, that is unfair. I've been doing this so much longer.
It's my Smock review. That was one of my earliest reviews too. That was the first one that blew up.
I'm just joking. I've got a couple of videos that hit 100,000.
I was about to say you've been doing this too long. I'm sure you got a few views.
The last video I did, just the $10,000 knife collection, just what's in the case. That was like, I think that's 11,000 right now.
That's such a clickbaity title too.
What? Because there's more than $10,000 worth of knives in that case. I did the math.
Oh, I know. But that's people see that and they're like, holy fuck, this guy's crazy. I got to watch this. Yeah.
We did a count. We did a count one time at a friend of mine's house.
See, I'm not going to do that because I'll cry. I'm not going to do it. And even my collection is tiny compared to yours. So,
Mike, do you like Civivi's Nitro V? Yes, I do, Samurai. But no, we were up at not Blade Show West. We were at the California Custom Show, and we were at my friend Tino's house with his parents. And his parents, his parents are a blast. So his mom and dad both were nurses. Now his dad's a malpractice lawyer, but his dad was a Green Beret in the
Papa's
Army.
Got money.
Papa was a Green Beret in the Army.
He takes no shit
in the 70s, and he's this short little slight dude. But you look at him, you're like, you can just see it in his eyes when he looks at you. You just talk to him, you're like,
"He's got the demon eyes." Yeah,
that dude would kill me and not even blink.
Nope, not even worry about it.
They have a room that is just full of glass. And if you know what I'm talking about, out here in California, a room full of glass, that's the smoking room.
Yes. In Ohio too.
So we were up there and we sat there and we all got a little stony, and we sat down and we did the math. So between my collection, my case, my knife case, Nico's knife case, Matt's knife case, we had like fucking $52,000 worth of knives at his parents' house that night.
Sitting in a room, isn't that crazy?
Just sitting there, and we were just all looking at it. We're like, good God, I can't believe how much money. And that's how I knew. Actually,
Are they listed on a separate rider on your home insurance policy?
They are on my renter's insurance.
Oh, renter's insurance.
They really are. I sold my house.
Why'd you do that?
Come on, I got my insurance license. You know,
so you could afford that. So you could afford that $1,200 knife. I remember now.
No. I just I know that I have to insure things. Like having learned how insurance works, I'm like, I know how this works. I got to make a list.
Yeah, if you don't list it, buddy, you're gonna regret it.
They don't tell you that though. Like, no,
I do.
We cover everything, and I'm like,
I'm a good guy. I'm one of the good ones, you know.
Yeah. So, yeah, Sinister, I'm gonna hit you up because I've never gotten to see one, and then I'll just send Cole pictures of it.
I live vicariously through Sinister. It's a really cool knife, and the packaging, because it's one of their limited editions, they really go crazy on the unboxing experience was really impressive to me.
That's it. Speaking
trying to box it all back together.
I did that Reat EXO video. Holy crap, that video did well. The unboxing, like I hit the algorithm just right with that for this.
Yeah.
Like it just
their packaging's usually very boring, Rayot.
Did you see it was like all science? It was all like futuristic. It's all
I'm watching the tonight. Holy shit!
The box,
I'll
it comes with it's got the box, and then there's like 4 smaller boxes inside. So you have everything's in its own little box.
Ooh,
It's really fucking cool.
that is really cool. See, I'm such a sucker for a good unboxing, man. Yeah, Artisan Cutlery does a kind of buck wild job with a lot of their higher end knives too, with the tin and they kind of go box inside a box inside a box
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I sometimes I mean I'm one of those guys. A lot of times I'm like I would prefer not to have as much packaging because I grew up in the country. I don't want to see all the trees cut down. It's beautiful and like I don't want
Right.
to see impact on the environment just because we like to have fancy things come in a nice package. That's why I honestly get so upset with the Apple products. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool packaging. It's almost like the wire EDM where you like the part slides down. There's almost no seam, and I'm like,
yep.
But really, do you fucking?
And they're always and they're bragging about how they're like, you know, zero O2, like carbon emissions and, you know, carbon neutral or whatever. And they removed the chargers to save the environment, and yet there's like 18 cubic yards of fucking cardboard in every goddamn box.
High density. That shit that's quality packaging.
It's quality stuff, man.
I still have boxes from some of my Apple stuff that I tore the shit out of, and I use it to protect other things.
I have my wife's iPhone box right here. It's impressive as shit.
Yeah. Good God, they put that much attention into their fucking packaging. But no, I have to agree that there's some company like there's sometimes like that Reat Exo's unboxing.
It's just something makes it a little more special.
Right?
I really loved did you get one of the earlier Rockwall's Tactile Knife Co. Rockwalls?
I haven't gotten one yet.
Oh, okay. So I pre-ordered it. I paid for it. I was just really because I was a fountain pen guy, and I have several tactile turn fountain pens. I loved that texture. I got my dad one of their clicky pens. My mom has one of their fountain pens. And this is years ago. So when I heard they were making a knife, I was like, fucking sign me up. So I was one of the earlier adopters, and man, oh man, their packaging for that first short run they did was like 3D printed, like clasp jewelry box with magnets in it, and it was like a laser etched titanium card that was hand signed, and it was like a whole experience, and it was tied with a little twine and sealed with a wax seal. It was over the top, dude. It was impressive as shit. I still have it all. I mean that, but it was all very small and very thoughtfully done, and I appreciate it.
That's so that Exo,
little things
that Reat Exo. I still have the packaging. So knives that I get that the packaging is like that, and it kind of strikes my fancy. I have like my wife. I used to piss my wife off. I have an entire drawer just full of the cardboard boxes that my knives came in.
Yeah, dude, I have like several boxes that are like
it's only
2
the nice
foot
ones.
by 2 foot. No, I keep them all just in case I want to sell them.
If it's something that's worth, like all the artisan stuff, typically the artisan stuff that comes in, it goes out as giveaways, or I sell it to somebody that wants it. You guys have no idea. Like I only really have 2 or 3 artisan knives that aren't my sea snakes, but I get a bunch of them, and you guys see them, and then they go out as giveaways and stuff like that.
But yeah, I mean, okay, somebody buy this fucking thing. It's green carbon fiber, which is so hard to pull off, and they nailed it, dude.
It is,
or not green carbon fiber, green titanium. Green anodizing.
That's not that
M390.
I've done it a bunch of times.
But man, Artisan kills it. They do.
Yeah, they do. Artisans
selling that for $185. It's a $250 knife. $185.
You could, if you went to Cali Custom Shows, you could have got it on the table for $120. I know this.
Tell me that.
Our Cali Custom Show or Blade Show West. I know because
I'm trying to sell this, Mike. You're not helping me.
They can't get it that price now.
Yeah, well, valid. But just the thought that price is out there is stuck in their heads now. I'm ruined. I'm financially ruined.
They're not going to see it. Like they're not going to see that price anywhere. So it doesn't matter what I say that was. Okay. What is your Grail knife? Now I know you love that Brass Brigade.
Yeah, but I'll be able to afford that, and that's in my happy little price range, my happy little budget. My Grail. It was for the longest time a Jaeger, Brian Brown Jaeger, made by Rayot. And it was a Grail for the longest time because you couldn't buy one, and if you wanted one, you had to fucking pay twice what it was actually worth. You had to pay $800 for a $350 knife. That's bullshit. So I finally got in on the most recent pre-order, so that one's checked off. And as it stands, like I'm not hunting for anything. It kind of feels good. So I kind of like where I'm at.
I told this to Jared, and Ethan is asking if you trade it for a UTX 85.
Would I trade what?
The Archeo.
No, I'm probably going to sell my Microtech as well
for one of these. You wouldn't trade it for one of these?
What is that?
That's a UTX 85. It's the
Okay.
it's the smaller version of the.
Yeah, I have the
Ultratech.
Ultratech. It's okay. I don't know. Something about
That's the
that
same-
blade.
That's the same one I have, and it's just too big. This is too big.
Yeah, it's too big.
The 85
too
is just
cumbersome.
about perfect for an OTF.
But well, and I have the Axial Gears in for review from Axial Gear.
Yeah,
and
they
like
reached
it
out to
so
me and
much
said that
more.
they reached out to me and they're like, "Yeah, sorry, we're not looking for any more reviewers." And I was like, "Okay,
well, we'll pass them around. I'm not worried about it." But their Dart came in, and I'm a big fan of this little chode, this little Cali Eagle guy. I don't know, something about it. I visually, if it was my money, I wouldn't go out and buy one of these just looking at it. But having it in hand just to play with, I was like, holy shit.
That's like that game. That's like that game that your friend gets and it's fun to play. Like you go to his house to play it because you like it's fun, but you wouldn't want to buy it for your console.
But I gotta tell you, man, of all the OTFs that I own, this one has been making its way into my pocket a lot, and I think it's because it's so small and it matches my vape. You know,
it's thin. Well, and it's thin, and I
it's
imagine
literally like a little.
It doesn't carry bad because it's like carries. It doesn't
so slicey too. That little chode blade is so tall and so thin, man. It's crazy. But they're where the fuck is the other one at? I got too many knives, man. I don't know how you do it.
Maybe if you had some lights on in that shit.
Nah. Maybe you're right.
That's hey, no Joe Bidening on here.
I can't find it. I literally can't find it. But the big one, the Shift is great. I love it way more than the Ultratech. Way more.
Well, I love the Ultratech, and I don't know why. I think the blade's a little too long on the Ultratech. I love the UTX 85. Like that's my favorite out the front. But there are other companies out there that their out the fronts are every bit as good. Like I said, the Deadlock
Guardian Tactical too.
Guardian Tactical. I've got that guy's card on my desk to call him and get him on the podcast. Well,
when I'm done with these, I'll send you these. I think you'll be very impressed. You'll be very impressed by these.
They sound solid.
Oh, they hit hard, man, and they are solid. And they're so cheap. They're undercutting everybody. It's an American-made OTF. Everything about it. It's 20 CV or S35 are your blade options. It's all American-made.
Why? But I mean, like if you have 20 CV, why would you offer S35VN as a?
It was a more, and it's a little cheaper for the S35VN. So good on them for that. Save you $50. Yeah, save you.
I love S35VN if it's done well. It's
the issue is the industry's gotten lazy with S35VN. I've noticed, and it's been a hit or miss deal lately. You think by now everybody's would have it figured out, but it's not the case.
There's a couple companies that get it right every time. We and Artisan, their S35VN is amazing. Their heat treat is always good and consistent.
Yeah, dude, the Cerberus, the Orion, man. I have not had a single issue with this thing, man. This S35 feels closer to like how 20 CV performs.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's
good. Yeah. But
I don't know, and I don't want everybody to like, oh, Mike knows, and he's leaving out trade secrets. I would imagine because I know that Riat and we share the same. They like the same person that heat treats Riat's blades is the same company, the same guy that heats for their 20 CV and their M390, and so it's always consistent. So if you're getting good 20 CV out of Wii, you're also going to get it out of Riat. And I'm wondering if it's kind of the same thing because it's so similar. Like the heat treat that is on the S35VN from Artisan is just almost identical to what you get from Wii Knife Company. I've never had anything in S35VN from Riat.
Yeah. And I don't think I have either. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's always M390 usually if it's Riat, almost always. The Roxy 3, is my newest Wii with S35, and it's excellent. I mean, this thing is just an absolute laser beam, and I have been putting it through the paces. No problems at all. Not mushy. It's not chipping. It's just not rolling over. It's great. It's been great. So.
Yeah, their S35 is great.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
But my Grail right now is, I mean, I'm not on the prowl.
But I mean, you kind of have, and that's what I was saying. So like I had two knives. I had three knives that were Grail knives, two that I said I had to have. And after I handled, actually I had 3 that I said I thought I had to have, and then I handled a Rockstead. I wanted one of the Rockstead shins, the really nice. They're like their flagship with the ray skin and the polished blade, and it is a great knife. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing. But once I got it, I was like, I just like I could live without this. But there was 2 knives, and I said it in a bunch of videos. It was this one, which is that Farron Forge, the Farron Forge Fortis, in that specific blade treatment, and this. And those were the 2 knives that I like had to have. And I really haven't. I really want a
Grimsmo, but just because I was raised by machinists. My parents own a machine shop, right? A manufacturing company. And to me, their Instagram feed is just like CNC porn all the time, 24 hours, dude. And I just respect the hell out of them because they're nerding out over the CNC equipment. And I'm like, oh, I go right back to being a kid working in that machine shop, man. And I love that. And I think that's why I want
child labor laws.
Right. Fuck them, dude. Who needs them? But I want them. I want a different design from them. I want a Grimsmo, but I don't want a Norseman. Do you know what I mean?
Have you tried? Okay, so the Rask, I've sharpened a bunch of the Rasks. And
the Rask I like more.
Well, the whole thing is like, this is so unique and so specific, and that's what that's what caught my attention. And then once you get one in hand, I thought I just wanted to see one just to see how crazy they were and just feel that precise machining. But then I got a couple in for sharpening and in for review, and I was like, and anodizing and refinishing and things like that. And I was like, I really want one of these, because that's when I realized like how useful, even though I'm not a fan of Tontos, how useful this blade is. Actually.
Oh yeah,
it's
a good recurve, man. It's like all recurve.
Well, and that's why I like this one. That's why I like this Civivi so much.
Is that the Natter? Keen Natter or whatever?
Keen Natter. I really am liking this. I'm not a fan of when the pocket clip moves and you can feel it in hand.
Yeah. Yep.
But as far as comfort levels, it's actually Glyco. I would say that in all honesty, the Concept Shikari.
Yeah, it's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
Yep.
Because the Shikari came out well after John had been making the other knife, the Norseman.
I'm just blown away that even with all that equipment, they're still, it's one at a time.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
So what I was going to say, the Grimsmo you need to try is not the Norseman, it's the Rask. And they're great. It's just that I have so many other knives that are so similar that's why I love this. And then once I realized how useful it was, I was like, okay, I'm down.
And what are they? 950? What's the list price on that? 950, 900?
I don't know, but
on yours.
On mine, I paid $970 plus shipping. So probably $980. And my wife found out. That's why there are no more knives. She was like, wait, what? And I was like,
no, $9.50. Don't worry, sweetheart. Don't worry.
She saw the email and she's like, what is this? And I was like, oh. I was like,
well, remember the kids' college fund? Yeah, that's not a thing anymore.
You know that knife that I've been carrying? And she's like, and I was like, and we're doing it in Japanese. And she was like, moi kayute? She's like, say it again. And I was like, I'm in trouble now.
Yikes.
So yeah.
I'm trying to, my Japanese is so rusty. I can't even remember how to say I'm sorry.
Gomenasai.
The shame. Gomenasai.
Then you get the angry, almost like gutter Japanese that like the Yakuza.
Yeah, the filth. Because I'm mad.
She's like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? That's $900. And I'm like, oh, I know exactly how much it was.
I know how much it is. And if we're talking yen, that's like, what is that? 9,500, 950 grand. What is that? 9,500.
Just add 2 zeros because they just 100 yen.
95,000.
Yeah,
95,000. That's right.
It's done on 1 yen, which is the 1 cent. It's almost.
Yeah, I felt like a baller, dude. When I was over there, I had fucking like
10,000 yen bills.
20 grand in my pocket. I was like,
I used to go out. I got a couple more questions, but I used to go out drinking every night, and I had this thing that I did for a while. Was you go out and you have your money, and you break a 10,000 yen, then you get like when you buy a beer, it's like $5, so it's 500 yen. Yep. And you get that 500 yen coin back, And so I would go out and I wouldn't let myself spend any of my change, no coins. So I'd take like $100 out and I break it and I'd get like 9,000 yen bills back. And that meant I was going to have 9 beers that night. And I would take those coins back and drunk Mike would stick him. Like I would always forget about it. Like I would get drunk and then forget that I was even doing it. And then I'm like, I probably spent all that because I never had change in my pocket when I woke up the next morning. Because I would just get blotto, blackout, shithouse drunk every night. So I'd take like $200 out, just drink it away. Like it's a
lot of good drinking in Japan, dude. There's a lot of good drinking.
The first like 10 years of my military career, it was like, how'd you spend your money? I was like, I spent it on wine, women, and gambling, and then I wasted the other half. Like I spent half of it on that.
Pachinko.
But so I would wake up in the mornings and I'd be like, well, I must have drank all my money, and I'd take out another $200. But apparently I'd found a bag, and I would come home drunk and I would put this change in the bag and then never remember it. And when I was transferring off the ship, I was digging around, making sure I'd gotten everything out of my locker. And there's this like little zipper bag. And I was like, what the fuck is it? I opened it up. There was like fucking $900 and 500 yen coins in there. I was like, what the fuck is all this? Did I rob a soda machine at some point?
I was drunk. Drunk Mike was tipping soda machines, getting wild.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Blackout Mike is very good to me. Autopilot Mike, drunk Mike takes care of me really. I've woke up in the morning. I've woke up in the morning and an empty Gatorade on the bedstand and a full one right next to it, and like fucking come downstairs and there's a note on the pickle jar that says "Eat one of these," like shit like that.
Yeah, my a blackout Cole is more about injuring himself and ending up in a hospital.
Oh, that's Whiskey Mike. Whiskey Mike is a dickhead that shows up when I drink Black Velvet, and he's the kind of guy that gets you woke. He gets you woken up to the question: did you piss on the floor mat in the bathroom? And the answer is fucking probably.
I don't know. The answer is I don't remember. That's the answer.
Wait, he does. He gets drunk and does shit like that, and then leaves me holding the bag. And that's a completely different person. Like even PDM, Poor Decision Mike, like that. He's like, man, that guy's a dickhead.
Yeah.
Okay, so most disappointing knife purchase.
The hard-hitting questions with Mike Imler.
Well, I mean, it's a podcast and people pay me for this. So
most disappointing. I'm trying to think of a knife I was like really hyped about and was like, God damn it. I'm not disappointed much. I got to be honest with you. Recently, I was just texting some of the other YouTubers about this and how like the last 4 reviews I've written have been negative, and I've never done a negative review on my channel. The Civivi Badlands Vagabond, I had all kinds of issue with that 9CR.
Okay.
And I dogged on it in that review. I love the knife. Love it. Top to bottom. It's a great little $40.
Isn't that disappointing when you get something and it's so great, but then there's just one little thing about it? And
it's so cheap, but it's coming from Civivi. So it's like, I was in this weird place where it's like, it's so cheap, so I can't be that mad. But at the same time, it's coming from Civivi, and a dozen plus Civivis, they've all been spot on. Just perfect.
Okay, so
the Kubi, what was it? Kubi Vagrant. I had the same issues, but I reprofiled about Oz 10 blade, and it's been money ever since.
So Oz 10, I don't because you haven't been doing this. Oz 10 has tendency a lot like LMAX to get burnt at the edge, and if it's not doing what you want, a lot of times just sharpening it, like just sharpen it till I just burped, and I was like, oh god, that tastes bad. And so a lot of times, if you just get it on a really coarse stone and form a burr, like back and forth, like 9 or 10 times, and then just strip that burr off back and forth, a lot of times that just right there.
Right. Reprofiling it and just doing that. Right.
Taking off
kind of starting at 240 grit and going up to like 600, 800.
Yeah.
And now it was money, but I just had so many issues with that factory edge. I guess lately it's been budget knives, because in the beginning, every budget knife I bought was so much better than anything I'd experienced that it blew my mind. It rocked my world. I was like, this is only $50. This is amazing. Right. And even now I still get that, it's the Feldspar's $35 knife. Like it's incredible.
Such a good knife.
Incredible. And I bought the tiny one too. I liked it so much.
So the Feldspar and the Centros, they both came in at the same time. Like, so Artisan sent me the Feldspar, the Centros, the Rhea, and 2 other knives. And I got the Feldspar one as a giveaway, and the other knife one was a giveaway. I kept the Rhea and I kept this. And this is so similar to the feldspar, but it's enough different. Like I find this one just was way more comfortable.
That one to me
than
is
the
more
feldspar.
attractive of the two for sure.
But
Visually,
for
it's
me,
more
it was
attractive.
more comfortable. It didn't matter. Like I loved the feldspar. It was a very good looking knife, and I was like, it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was just the fact that this was more comfortable in hand. Which
I figured out my most disappointing knife purchase.
Okay.
Giant Mouse Biblio. The Italians they need to stick to wine and pasta. They do not need to be making knives anymore.
That's not true. There's a handful of those knives that come in that have been really good. The steel, sorry, the Real Steel.
I love Real Steel.
Mini Gecko. And that's a Italian.
I love Real Steel.
Good God, that mini Gecko was so nice. Like I felt bad. I felt
Real
like
Steel
I did
does
not want to
amazing
send it back
work.
to the cup.
But whoever in Italy is doing this, the heat treat on this M390 is diarrhea. It's so mushy.
That's what I heard.
It took me so long to sharpen this. And I talked to a bunch of other people. This one, the detent's dialed. The action's great. It great action, nice and smooth, fun to fidget with, great ergos. Overall, a great knife. Looks nice. But man, it's something about paying. I paid $150 for this. It's like a $250 knife. If I had paid $250 for this and got this kind of trash at the business end, I would have been furious. I would have been out of my mind furious. That's not acceptable.
I had a Giant Mouse. I don't like many of. See, you're talking like Giant Mouse. I'm not going to say it because there's a lot of Italian companies that do a good job. But Giant Mouse, I've never had anything.
Whoever their Italian manufacturer has horrible or no QC. Because I've talked to 10 other people and they all have different issues. They're mine. Oh, my heat treat's great, but the action's horrible. And also the pivot will not stop walking. I have Loctited this
I was getting ready
to say into oblivion, and it still wiggles.
Nico is here. Nico, what were the ones that we had? Were those the Ionas? We had the Giant Mouse. It was like the FRN.
They were the cheaper ones, yeah.
The FRN handles and the wire clip. And I had two of them. We had gotten them. Like somebody sent them to us. Nico got one. I got one. They were a gift. Like they were sent to us as gifts. And I gave one to Nico, and I kept two because they were giveaways for the channel. And so I gave one to Nico, and I think that's how it worked out. But anyway, we didn't pay for them. They were free. And I had the one, and it was the better of the two, but the centering was so far off. It was like rubbing the FRN.
Yep.
And so you see scratches on the blade from the fiberglass in the.
It's just too much money to have those kind of little, and those aren't even little issues. Those are pretty serious. A bad heat treat, bad.
So that's what I was going to say. So the other one was perfectly centered. I had a green one and I had a blue one.
Yeah.
And the other one was perfectly centered. And I was good. Okay, this is what it was. I was going to use it as a giveaway. But then when I sharpened it, because I was going to sharpen it as part of the giveaway, like a $25 edge.
Put a sweet edge, baby.
And like it just like everything, it just kept it would just like burr up and the steel would peel off. And I was like, this shit's not I was like,
and
this
then
isn't even heat treated.
Yep. And that's what happened with this one, man. And it took me so long to get this thing to cut anything.
Yeah.
And I basically got this for $100 off.
Get it to cut something. You cut something once, and you're like, "Fuck, I got to do that."
And it folds over. Oh, that's so annoying. That's not acceptable. It really isn't to me.
Not on M390.
No, and not on something that costs as fucking much. It's not. It just isn't, man.
Yeah.
Like the Tuya knife came in. This came in today. The Integral, the big belly. Holy shit, man!
Did you get that from Dave?
I bought it right off their website. I don't know.
Oh, did you? I thought maybe you got Dave Warren is their US rep. He's a friend of mine. I like the guy.
Yeah, tuyaknife.com or us.com or whatever. That's he's in Corbin, Kentucky. So this like came in like a day and a half. Yeah. But I love it. And it was $270 for a full-blown Integral with M390, and it actually has a solid edge, and it was heat treated right, and it was made in China.
Yeah. Well, so I remember what it was. That Iona, I kept the one that had the shit edge on it. I did the other one that was rubbing as a giveaway, and I warned everybody. I was like, I'm sorry, it's kind of fucked. And then I gave away that Giant Mouse Iona to some girl at a bar that Nico and I were at a pool hall.
The one you couldn't.
She was like, I don't have a knife. Like I lost my knife. And I was like, I'll tell you what. And the guy that was there, the owner's brother, was sitting next to him, and you could tell he was hitting on this chick. And I was like, I'll tell you what, I will give you this $250 knife, but you got to give him your phone number. And she took the
It's a
knife,
good
and I
trade.
was like, you better make sure you get that. You better make sure you get them digits, bro. And he was like, what? And he's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. I walked away. I gave her the knife.
But yeah, of the biggest regret has to be this,
Yeah.
or at least disappointment. The big, not even a regret.
$250 is not like in the knife world now. $250 is not like a big expenditure. That's like an average knife, like an average decent knife. But to lose that much is not.
It is
like,
for me, because then yeah, and again, I didn't pay full price for this, and I will not sell it for anywhere near full price. I might just give it away. But
I was gonna say I would give it away as a channel giveaway and just include a note saying, "Hey, the heat treat's fucked on it," and that's how it came.
I mean, I got it smoking sharp now, but it was like a fucking weekend long project to put a fucking edge on this thing. You know what I mean? 2 hours here, 3 hours there. It was a nightmare.
I did a kukri by hand on fucking 1-inch stones. So you know those small stones that I use? I did it freehand on stones. My buddy
shooters,
yeah, with a 1-inch stone on my buddy came over to the house and he was like, "What in the fuck are you doing? Are you trying to hurt yourself? What in God's name are you doing?"
Trying to take a finger off, dude.
So a knife that you thought you would hate, but you don't.
So the opposite of this. A knife that I thought I would love, and I ended up hating.
Yes, exactly. The exact opposite. That's kind of these two questions that go together.
A knife I thought I would hate. Man, see, I don't spend a dime unless I'm like in love with it visually. Like I've already kind of hyped myself up. Man, let me.
Well, here's the thing. I've done that and spent significant amounts of money and had the knife come up and never got to hold it in hand. Been like, fuck me.
Yeah,
I did that. I did that with a. I did that with a Decepticon 2. You probably don't. You weren't even in a knife community then. You probably don't even know what a Decepticon.
No idea what that is.
While you're looking, I'll pull it up so you can see.
I thought I would hate, huh?
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. Ooh, okay. This is one that I avoided for the longest time. I'm a big ProTech guy. I love ProTechs.
I'm trying to get back to you. I'm trying to find a picture of that. What was it?
I love ProTechs. I'm a big ProTech guy.
Yeah.
And forever and ever and ever, I never bought a Sprint because I was like, there's no reason. It's so tiny. It's too much money for how tiny it is. I'll never need it. And if I get it, I'm going to hate it. But then I got the new one with the new blade. And this one's got the mirror finish on it in brass.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, I love it. I love it. I talked myself out of it for so long. And I was like, it's just too small. It's like there's no purpose. It doesn't serve a purpose. It's kind of just a cute little toy.
I have that same knife. I have that same knife on my shelf for sharpening.
This is the Blade Show version.
But this one's the one that's over here is all black. But I do believe that it has. I'm not going to get up and get it because I'm too tired. I believe that one has a mother of pearl button.
Yeah, this one does too.
Yeah.
Not mother of pearl. This one's got the crazy. Come on, fucker. Crazy fancy button and the mirror, the hand mirror finish on the blade.
I'm trying to. God damn it, this isn't working.
But I love it. I love this thing. I really didn't think I would ever own one. I would never have, But now, having it, I'm like, shit. Okay, I get it. I get the draw.
I can't find an actual image of this, but you get a chance, look up the Decepticon 2. I keep wanting to bring it up. They're all small.
Who made it?
Yeah, fuck. I don't know. I closed the page. Just look up Decepticon 2 knife. It was a
shit.
Did you find it?
Alex Connigan?
Can I buy a vowel? That's
Alexi Connigan. My name is Alexi. Nice to meet. Very nice to meet.
So one of my
custom knife factory is what everything's
that's
saying
what it was. Yeah. But they didn't tell you that. But I paid so much for that fucking knife. And
it looks expensive.
I got it and I was like, I wait because that's one of those deals like back in the day. You didn't get to feel a knife. I didn't go to knife shows back then. I never got to see any of this shit.
Look at this thing. Hold on.
I was like, God, this thing looked great. And then I was like, you know what? I got it. Oh, how did you do that? I didn't know you were able to.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's the one I had. Same one. Custom.
Don't
But I
mi-
didn't have the
don't mind
custom knife
all my
factory.
porn up here. I'm just kidding.
Mine didn't have a custom knife factory on it though.
S35. That is wild looking, dude.
It was nuts. And I mean, it was a really well-made knife, but it just was like, I got it. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? And I
like the
bought it
blade
on
shape too. That's wild.
I bought
on
it
this one.
right after it came out on the secondary market. So figure what I like. They weren't cheap to begin with. And then figure what I paid for it.
$0. I'm just kidding.
It
says, wait, what is it? Oh, discontinued. I thought it said in stock somewhere when I pulled this page up, but it does not.
I don't know, but it was so expensive, and I got it, and it was like when I bought that. It's like when I bought that my first. God damn it, Hinderer, my first Hinderer. I had a Hinderer XM18. And it was an old school one, and it was before and it didn't. I got it, so this was like this like 2014, 2015.
Yeah,
and like they didn't flip back then. Like I got it.
Oh no!
I pushed the button down. I pushed the flipper tab down, and it goes like that. And I was like, I was like, you had, and even when I wrist flicked it, I'm like, there we go. I was like, what? And I got that thing.
Unpopular opinion. I handled about 15 Hinderers. XM18s, XM24s, an Eclipse, or a Jurassic at the River's Edge Cutlery meetup. And I'm an Ohio boy, so I was like, oh, Hinderer, Ohio boy, hell yeah, everybody loves Hinderer. So I kind of had this image in my head to answer your question with the knife that I've never owned. Didn't like any of them. Didn't care for a single one of them.
So my biggest point of contention was that with the flipper and the non-flipping flipper, and you had to wrist flick the shit out of it. The flipper tab on them they feel like they're on backwards, and they dig into my hand because I have really big hands. Jared sent me that.
I didn't like anything about him.
Jared sent me the XM18 3-inch flipperless. I fucking love it. That's like my number one knife of 2021.
Of all of them, the non-flippers were the ones that I was like, okay, I could get used to this. But all of them, man, like 15 of them, all newer, some of them are running on bearings, some of them are on, and all of them, the detent was so non-existent.
Though. Oh,
they look great.
This one is stiff.
Really?
Yeah.
So I don't know what
get it in a minute before we break.
What these people are doing, man. But it was a knife that I really hyped up in my head. And then, I held it in hand and I was like, not for me, not worth the money.
I loved the designs. I always loved
Same with XM. A lot of knives I handled at River's Edge Cutlery. Knives that I thought I would hate. Well, the opposite of that. Knives I wanted to love and ended up not. As, what's the other one? The other famous American S&G Strider. I handled like 20 Striders. I didn't like any of them. I didn't like a single one of them.
Yeah,
same deal. They were just mushy bullshit detents.
Yep. The only one I've ever handled was the one that I owned. The only one that was ever great. Like that knife, like I was like, I gotta have it. Like I can't not have it. It was drop shut smooth, no lock stick. The detent was fucking perfect. It was a nightmare grind S&G. It was insane. It was so good. And I bought it at the show from Mick. But I told him, I was like, I looked at him, I was like, Mick, are you sure this isn't a fake? And he was like, what?
Is this a knockoff?
And he looked at me, I was like, there's no lock stick. It has detent. It does
like thumb breaking lock stick. Like thumb breaking.
I was like, it's like there's no lock stick. There's no blade play. I mean,
something's wrong here, Mick. Are you feeling okay?
Sure? And he goes, oh, you motherfucker, I've seen that video.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I got in recently. And I'm gonna keep saying it. This is for my budget knives. I think this is the one that took budget knife of the year for me. This is the one that Jared sent me. This is that Sharif Manganus steel, that Kaiser Grazioso. This thing is
wild looking. What are the bolsters? Copper? Brass?
Copper. It's like copper, and so is the backspacer.
It's a good look. That's a clean color combo, man.
Nice,
black and copper.
Look. But here's the thing,
fan.
Like, it hits all those like, oh, that's something new, that's something cool, but it's still so functional.
Yep.
Like even though it's not a very broad blade, the blade stock's not super thin but they did a really good job of
that's a
transitioning that
nice.
grind.
It's a nice grind looking grind.
So
Nice
nice
grind. I'm
and
trying to think my budget knife of the year, man. I
thin.
don't know. I'm asking the hard questions. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Maybe
thought
the
with the
fuck, I
Civivi
don't know.
Brazen had it. The Civivi Brazen had it both knife of the year and budget knife of the year. It had it
I
locked
think I would
down.
like the Brazen. Brazen's 14C, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and I should have picked that up instead of that fucking Badlands, man.
Yeah. So that was my overall knife of 2021, and then the TRM Shadow came in, and once I pulled the TRM Shadow out, I was like, nah,
it's a company I need to check out.
That's my knife. That's my knife of the year, and then the Brazen is my budget knife of the year. Well, then Jared sent me that Hinderer XM18 non-flipper, and he gave me this as a gift, and I was like, yeah, so this kicked the Brazen
Sealed
down,
it.
and
wow.
Sealed it. So that's my two.
It's that good, huh? It's that good. Knock down the Brazen.
Well, the Civivi Brazen is good enough that it was my overall pick for 2021.
Wow,
like, that was my overall. That budget and overall knife. Like that was it. I was like, man, it's a good knife.
Yeah. I love 14C when it's done right, man. I just love it so much.
And it's not the only the riffle, the Civivi riffle is a
love
lot
the riffle.
thinner.
Love the riffle.
So if you love the riffle,
that might be my budget knife of the year. That might be my budget.
You're really gonna love the Brazen, because the Brazen is a drop point. It's not quite as thin, but it's got the thumb stud and the flipper. The handle's great. The pocket clip. The fucking I don't like any pocket clips, and I was like, this is a good pocket clip.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was,
I don't like any pocket clips.
It was comfortable. It was comfortable like this one, where it's kind of a deep carry, but not uncomfortable. And I could carry it on the forward part of my pocket and then have something.
And it's not wibbly wobbly. I know you don't like the wibbly wobbly.
It's not like super solid, like it, because it is a Civivi pocket clip, but
right.
Like the shape of the handle and stuff, just
well,
it doesn't feel like that.
I don't know, dude. This one's this is on the Mallory's new one, the whatever the Hadros.
Yeah.
It's solid. That clip. I mean, if really cranking on it, sure.
A lot of times they thin it, like they thin it up here, to make it easier to bend it and save material, and then it gets all wiggly.
Gotcha.
So this one's solid all the way. Like that hole doesn't go back any further. A lot of times they'll take that slot and run it all the way back, and that's when it starts getting weak. Is when it's hollow in that bend. Okay. Growing up outside of Cincinnati, we got to have a Cincinnati story. What's the most screwed up thing you remember growing up out around Cincinnati and being in? It's not as Cincinnati, guys, isn't anywhere near as bad as it used to be. But growing up in Ohio in the 80s and early 90s, before I left for the Navy, Cincinnati was a thing of legend.
It was not a good legend.
Like Cincinnati is like Chicago and Detroit combined, apparently.
Yeah, it's like East St. Louis. It was Chicago. It was Detroit. We had it bad for a while. But when I was a kid, Cincinnati was so bad. Just 30 minutes north in Lebanon was like it's like a Hallmark movie. You know, my hometown was like a Hallmark original. I've been there. And ironically enough, they have filmed 3 Hallmark originals in my hometown. So that if that goes to show anything at all. I forget what the last one they did was. It was like 2 years ago. It's pretty funny. Around Lebanon, and where I grew up was like out of even Lebanon, like out of town. I grew up in the middle of nowhere on 10 acres with woods and hills and creeks and mud and shit to jump in, right? That was my childhood. So I didn't get crazy. But what the question is, like, what's the craziest?
Yeah, like the craziest, like because just a Cincinnati story. Like at first I just saw Cincy. I wrote Cincy, and I'm like, I'm high, and I'm like, what the fuck was I?
What does this mean?
That's kind of why we kept talking. Like I kept looking at it. If you saw me, kept looking. I was like, what the fuck did I want from it? But that was my story time.
I mean, my entire childhood was full of just outrageous nonsense, and none of it had anything to do with Cincinnati. It was all just being a young kid in the country with a lot of guns and explosives laying around. Right. Like that was my childhood.
Sounds a lot like mine.
Yeah. So probably like the one that I was like, oh God, I'm going to prison. I can tell you that story. But I was so young, I wouldn't have. We used to make bombs. We just used to We just used to make them.
You're gonna do it. I'll incriminate myself for story time as well.
It's fine. So we would, and it wasn't. I don't even know if I'm allowed to tell you what they were made out of, because it's very easy to get. It's all very easy to get. But anyway, we just had this stuff. It for whatever reason, it was something to do with the machine shop. It was chemicals that we had laying around, and when you combine these chemicals with a little sprinkling of something else, they're very stable and borderline waterproof. But when you ignite them, they become violent, right? In ways that knock black powder out of the park. Like, this is the kind of stuff they used.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Probably some aluminum, probably some fucking.
Let's say potassium blank is involved. Potassium and some other things are involved.
Okay.
I'm talking like bring down buildings is what we made as kids. So I'll tell you the one where I thought my mom was going to kill us. Because all the other times we were blowing shit up, it was fine. But this time was not okay. So we would make them out of 35 millimeter film canisters. Okay. I shit you not. When I'm doing this, I'm like 11 years old, just like running through the woods with like a backpack full of literal bombs.
Are we talking the black? Are we talking about the black and gray ones with the
black and gray? Yes, and we would waterproof them.
Right in the middle of the top was a little swirly.
And we had the nice those nice slow burn fuses.
Cannon fuse, like a minute an inch.
We had big fucking spools of them. And you would electrical tape all the way around it, seal it up, and electrical tape, so they were completely waterproof. So we would throw them in the creek and fucking shoot the whole creek bed would go flying into the trees. But one day, I don't know, man. Dad signed off on it, and I have a funny story about Dad after this too. Dad signed off on this foolish idea, but we had this garbage can that was made out of a 50-gallon steel drum, right? So we turned the steel drum upside down and put the bomb on top of that. And then for whatever reason, Mom's like prize stainless steel mixing bowl was outside on the porch. Like, and if anybody has a mom that bakes or is a baker, like, something about a good mixing bowl, I don't know what kind of emotional attachment is created between a woman and her mixing bowl.
I have a favorite fork and a specific favorite burner on the stove.
Where's my fucking fork? Yeah,
I've turned
that's
into
the
that
one burner.
Person.
Yeah, that's the one burner that's always dirty. I know the one you're talking about.
That's my burner. That's my favorite.
That's my life, dude. So
not gonna lie, that's when you get old, you catch yourself doing shit like that. Where's my favorite fork?
Yep. Yeah. God damn it. This isn't my fork. Can't eat. So we have the bomb on top of the drum. So the drum's turned upside down, so it's flat, right? And then Dad, I was like, Dad, can I have Mom's mixing bowl? He's like, sure, buddy, go for it. You know, he's like 40 beers deep. I don't know what he was doing that night. But and we're all standing around the bonfire. When I say we all, I mean like me and my older brother, and that's it. Like, we're just like, let's fuck shit up. Why not?
Because that's what 14, 15-year-old kids do in Ohio. Like, what else are we gonna fucking do? We're gonna blow shit up. We're gonna burn stuff down. We're gonna break things.
Right. We lit the fuse, put Mom's prized stainless steel bowl on top of the bomb, and then, you know, kind of casually walked away. We kind of knew what to expect.
Are you telling me you accidentally made a shape charge?
Kind of. You know, 11 years old, all we knew was it went boom and things were destroyed. That's all we knew. So it gets better, and it doesn't end the way I think you think it's going to end. The thing goes off, you know, good 45 seconds later or so, and that fucking bowl disappears. It vanishes, completely vanishes, and the drum comes like 20 feet off the ground and lands. And it's getting dark. It wasn't like pitch black yet, but it's like Mom like comes out to check on us, only to immediately realize that her prized mixing bowl that was outside is missing.
I put my mixing bowl out here to dry. Where'd
it was go? Right there. Where is it? Right. I had it out here. I was soaking vegetables for dinner. Damn it. Where is it? Right. I don't know what she was doing with it. But that fucker disappeared. And me and Kyle are like, we'll find it, you know. And we didn't find it till the next morning. The steel drum survived. That fucker was like from like the mid 80s. I swear they used to store like plutonium in it or something. It was like 1/2 inch thick steel. It was ridiculous. And the fact that thing moved at all, it was kind of testament to how ridiculous these bombs are. Me as a 10-year-old was running around with. But we found
That's
the bowl.
Ohio, guys.
Yeah, we found the bowl a few days later. It was the next morning, and it was at the top of this like 180-year-old maple tree, just hanging there,
just up there, like
yeah, kind of like spinning in the wind, caught on the limb. And we're like, well, shit.
Did it blow it? Did it blow it through the bottom?
I'll get there. So it's 100 feet up this fucking tree. We're not climbing it because it's a big maple. You know, the first 50 feet of it are nothing. There's no limb.
Yeah.
Old, beautiful old tree. And so we're like, Dad, how do we get Mom's mixing bowl out of this tree? We don't know what to do. Like, we've been throwing rocks at it all morning, and we can't
can't even get a rock up there.
And he comes out and kind of like an old man, like looks up at it, like hands on his belt, beer in his hand. He's like, son, that's 100 feet up a tree. You ain't gonna hit that with a rock. And he leaves, and he comes back.
Oh, no.
5 minutes later with a 12 gauge with bird shot in it. Because he's like, it's stainless. They'll just bounce right off of it. It'll be fine.
Sure.
Yeah. Like 2 or 3 shots. And the fact that we're like, in hindsight, he's literally just like shooting straight up in the air. It is bird shot, but like, what are we doing? What was my childhood? Finally, like were you and your brother
looking at each other going like, are you sure it's a good idea? I mean, it's Dad. I know it's Dad, but shit.
Right.
Like,
and it's 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. He's halfway through a case of Miller Lite. So whatever. You know what I mean? Summers in Ohio.
Oh,
so
boy.
he tinged off of it a couple times, and finally the third one popped it out of that tree, and it kind of bounced around and fell down. And we get to it unscathed from the bird shot. And we're looking at it. I don't know how this happened, but the bowl was intact. Again, prized mixing bowl. I guess it was prized for a reason, because that fucker took a hit, man. But there was just a perfect, big mixing bowl. And there was a perfect hole blown with a flap, like somebody had taken a can opener to it. It looked like somebody had hit it with the 12 gauge slug, is what it looked like. But dude, I mean, what an ordeal
on the bomb.
right, and we got in trouble. But to put all that in perspective, the man that raised me, my father, the man that was shooting bowls out of trees just a moment ago, every year we would do a fall party, and we would always have leftover from 4th of July. We'd have leftover bottle rockets. For whatever reason, that's the firework that makes it through the next year, because you buy bottle rockets in those big fucking bundles of like 1,000. You know what I mean?
Bale.
Yeah,
like
seriously, like a bushel. Yes, sir. I'll have a bushel of
like you
bottle rockets.
You can't close the trunk and have to use an elastic strap, like a bungee cord, because to get down the road, because the bundle of fucking bottle rockets you have is like you feed.
So we would always have hundreds left over, right? The next fall after 4th of July, or that following fall. So every year, or the last year we did this party, and the last year we did it, I think it was about 200 and 250 guests, right? Kids. It was a big party, right? Like, Lebanon's a small town, but it was like everybody that is anybody goes to the Coomer Fall party, we had, live band. I mean, it was a very beautiful moment in my childhood. So this was the last time, and I think this is the reason why it was the last time we ever did it.
Because we fucked something up.
So at a certain point, the kids would separate off from the parents, and we would, the kids would be fucking around in the hay bale fort or doing whatever, and the parents would just be getting just sloshed, like drunk. The kids they're like, there's 10 acres, they're not going to hurt themselves. Like, do they know whose property their kids are on right now? Jesus. So. Like, we're all standing around the campfire. And when I say campfire, I mean like a bonfire, like a 20-foot by 20-foot pit in the ground, just full of pallets and shit with like a raging flame. And Dad strolls up out of nowhere after they've disappeared for a couple of hours. There's like 30 small children, and at like oldest maybe 10 or 11. And I at the time was like 6 or 7. Small children, 30 of them. Walks up to the fire, bends over, tosses something in, and then just walks away. Starts strolling away. Dude, the next thing we knew, we were in fucking Fallujah. He had thrown an entire bundle of 500 bottle rockets into this raging bonfire surrounded by small children. And those fuckers, dude, because everybody was like, that was weird. And, because it takes a minute for the plastic to melt off and then the paper to melt off and then the fuses start to light. And you got like 10 seconds. But then it just starts fizzing. We're like, oh, he just threw something in the fire. And those fuckers, dude, were just... They were pinging off that steel drum I was telling you about. We were all trying to duck and hide behind that fucker. We were running into the hay bale fort. They kept bouncing off the hay bale fort. We thought they were gonna like light that thing on fire. And this went on for like 5 minutes. They just kept like as soon as you thought it was safe. 500 of them, dude. As soon as we thought we were safe, like 10 more would go off. You know what I mean? And this went on for like 5-10 minutes, and all the parents came running because kids are all of a sudden.
So my buddy Hobbit here, I tell him like this is like the same shit I tell him about stuff like growing up in Ohio, and he's like, these stories are amazing. I was like,
that's Ohio, baby. It's not.
It's not bullshit, dude. Like, because I have a story for you after that involves bombs.
God love them. I still do. But I live in the city now, and it's frowned upon.
Yeah.
So, like 5 minutes into this 10-minute ordeal, the parents start showing up after just like explosions and children screaming for 5 minutes.
What the fuck are you doing to our kids?
Yeah. And like they were too drunk to notice for the first 5 minutes, and then they show up. But they all stumble in, and they're like trying to grab their kids, and I just remember bottle rockets bouncing off of moms and dads and shit, dude. It was in hindsight, I wish to God like we had the technology in 1998 that we do now, because
I wish I had a camera phone.
Can you imagine? It would be the greatest video ever.
Do you know how much time I would have spent in jail if they had that shit back then?
Dad would have gone to jail for that. That is reckless endangerment of 30 small children.
So Murky Ocean, I have not done what he's talking about. So, okay. So my dad was a cop.
Okay. My dad was a machinist who just drank a lot.
My dad was a cop.
Not as exciting.
My dad was a cop who drank a lot.
I think it's a common theme.
It's an Ohio thing.
Yeah.
Like fuck, I live in Ohio. I should probably just get drunk and just stay that way because I live in Ohio. But so when I was I don't know, I think I was a junior. I had some friends come. I don't want to incriminate anyone else. I had some friends come to me.
There'll be no names.
We had an idea, and I was like, yeah, we could definitely do this. And the whole idea was we wanted to make a reusable, really loud like bomb, like something that we could fire over and over and then just like make a bunch of noise.
Make a loud noise. Yeah.
And so one of my friends, like he's the one gleaming in the middle, and I'm hearing him say it, and we're all like smoking weed in this like a little garage out the back of his house. And he's like, and I was like, I'm like hearing him say it. I'm like, I want to do this so bad. And they're like, okay, the reason we're asking you is because you have a welder. And I'm like, yeah, we got a welder. So what we did was my buddy cut off or found a piece of pipe, it was a double threaded and had caps.
Yeah, steel pipe.
It had caps for it. And so we took one end and we threaded that pipe cap on and we welded it. And then we took a piece of chain and we welded it to the side of the cap and then welded the other end of the chain to the cap real well. And then we took all those threads on the other end and we filed them off into like a cone, and we would fill that thing up. We'd fill that thing up with gunpowder, and we drilled a hole at the top and run a piece of cannon fuse down into it. And we'd bang that top all on it and then run the cannon fuse in, and it would be like tapered. So you could fire it off.
They would just pop the cap off. Yeah.
And we welded a ring to it and put a line on it. And so we would
you can find the cap.
No, because the cap was welded on.
Yeah, but what about the cap on the other end? It was just sitting there?
It was threaded on and welded. So only one end.
Oh, so that end was open.
The other end was like that was closed. And then you had, and it was welded on. And then you had the cap on the top. We welded a chain, welded the cap back to the pipe, filed off all the threads, and then
got it. So it was just sitting there, so it would pop off, and then pop
off, and we welded a ring to it so we could pull.
Same page. I'm getting a mental schematic. That's what I need.
And so we tied a line to it so that we could set it up somewhere, walk back, light the fuse, because most people aren't going to see it. We'd lean it up against like a brick wall or a signpost or something. And if it looked like somebody was coming and was going to get hurt, we would yank it back and just let it go off somewhere else. But we'd stand there, and when that thing would go off and like it would turn on car alarms, it broke windows in an old lady's house across from the one little convenience store thing. And then
it's the war, it's coming. Like if the old lady's like, this is the war.
We'd pull that rope back because we were fairly far away. We'd pull that rope back, stick that thing in the trunk, and come back. So we did this, and the cops never figured out what was going on. So we did it like we would drive around and go to different towns and do it.
Animals.
And we did it out on like farms and scared people's cows and shit. And so there was a long history, like a police report of this. And so I come home one time, my buddy was home too. And we're sitting in the kitchen. We're both in the military, and he's home on leave. We're drinking beer in the kitchen, and we're talking about it. He's like, "Hey, you remember that pipe bomb thing we made that we could reuse?" And I'm like, My dad's sitting at the kitchen table drinking a beer and reading the newspaper, and I see him do this.
Look up. What you mean?
And I'm
what you mean?
He goes, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And my buddy was like, and I looked at him, I was like, it's too late now. No one can lie to my father. He is terrifying. And he carries a gun. So we're sitting there, and my buddy is looking, and it was about right before I met my wife. So I was 25, 26.
Yeah,
I've
been
a good
decade and a half later, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I left home when I was like 17 and joined the military because they said the recruiter didn't have much to tell me. He's like, I can get you out of here. I'm like, I'm in. So like we're talking about it, and all of a sudden my dad's like, all right, let's hear about this. And he's like, well, Mike made it. And I was like,
oh, thanks. Yeah.
Thanks. And he goes, my dad looks at me and goes, what's he mean? And I was like, well, we had the welder and I knew how to use it. And he goes, I'm listening. And so I tell so basically I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'll tell the whole goddamn story because what am I going to do? It's so far long ago.
Yeah. What's the statute of limitations on this? Right.
I see him. He's nodding his head. And I was like, so they did it. So he's like, so what you're telling me is while I was a police officer, you endangered my entire career by committing multiple felonies and using my equipment to do it. And I was like,
yeah. Pretty much.
I mean, when you look at it like that, when you
say it that way, yeah.
When you put it that way, it does sound pretty fucked up. And he goes, I fucking knew there was some way you were involved in that. He's like, because the day you left, it stopped. And I was like, well, that's because I'm the one that always hid it in underneath the shed at the old house. And I was like, it's probably still down there, wrapped up in a oiled up burlap bag. So it doesn't.
Some kid's gonna find it. Yeah.
Some kid's gonna find it and realize what it is and be like, oh, I'm going to be the most popular kid in my high school.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, we would do this one. I can tell you because you're not really going to hurt anybody with it. But Works toilet bowl cleaner and aluminum foil. Yeah, in a
bottle. Yeah, we did that.
Biggest one we ever did was in a Kirkland's cranberry juice bottle. It was a 5-liter jug, and it was thick
it was
plastic.
Like this big. It was this big by the time it.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, by the time it blew, that fucker was like 5 foot around.
It looked like one of those fucking 5-gallon water bottles.
It looked like a fucking weather balloon, is what it looked like. It was massive. I remember we set that thing off on our property, 10-acre property. There's a major road that runs through there, and we'd stopped traffic before. It was nothing new to stop traffic at our house, but. But we had done a million of these Works toilet bowl bombs, right? And had never gotten anywhere close to this. And I just remember that thing went off, man, and my shitty Acura alarm went off, and my two buddies' cars alarms started going off, and I just hear up on the main drag, and I'm like, holy shit, dude! I did not know.
What was that?
I did not know. Yeah, this was at a point where we stopped setting off the 35 millimeter deals so often because they were just too. I mean, it was too much.
We made a loud noisemaker one time and put it under a wheelbarrow and launched a wheelbarrow about 35 yards. And we're like, that's one of those ones where it goes up and you're like, oh God. Oh God.
Yeah, where's it? Yeah, dude. Well, when I was a kid, that's the thing. Like when you're a kid, you're like, I'm invincible, right?
You're like, keep your eye on that shit. It's like baseball. Keep your eye on the wheelbarrow.
Like when we did the bomb on the steel drum with the bowl, and that steel drum went 20 feet in the air, I don't even remember being bothered. I was like, this is fine. This is fine. The thing weighs like 60 pounds. If it lands on me, I'm fucked. I weigh like 10 pounds.
That's not going to end well for you.
No.
When I was a kid, we used to, my grandfather was he was a really stoic kind of cat. I climbed up on the barn with and pulled my bicycle up, and I was going to jump the area between the barn and the hill.
Oh yeah.
So you had the side roof of the tack room, like where all the tack was and stuff was stored. So you had the big barn, and then you had a little side roof, and I was going to ride my bike off that and just jump off it and then land on the other side of that where the two met. But what I did not think about was the fact that when we would plow and things like that, there would be all these big rocks that we kicked up and we put them in a barrel. And that's where we dumped all them things because we were trying to get it a little more level between the side of the barn. And so my grandfather, I'm up there, and my grandfather's like walking up the hill, and he's got some shit in his hand. He turns and looks at me and goes, "This ain't a good idea." And I'm like, "Nah, whatever. What's the old man know?" And I didn't think that it was going to happen like this, but I came off the slant of that roof. When I hit here, I thought I was going to be able to like hop over, and I just went whoop, and straight down in,
plummeted
right in, and I'm like, I was fucked up, dude. I landed on some rocks that were as big as a laptop.
Oh boy!
And I'm like, oh God! And my grandfather he gets up the top of the hill. And he hollers at my grandmother. He gets up the top of the trail. He hands the stuff that he had in his hand to my grandmother, and he fucking walks down. She's like, "Where are you going?" And he's like, "I'm taking the dumbass to the hospital."
Oh, dude.
My mom was a nurse, so we show up, and she's like, "What the fuck did he do now? Did he jump out of the hayloft with an umbrella again?" And no,
worse.
Well, this is what he did.
Geez.
I
told the good old days.
I told the story on a live feed one time. My dad used to love to tell people this story when he'd be drinking, and especially if I was there, it was even more fun. Hey guys, hey y'all, did I ever tell you the time about the time the boy tried to make a bomb in the basement? And they were like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, so Brilliant over here decides he's going to take a 7-Up bottle, one of the big tall ones, like remember the old long ones when we were kids?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah." And he's like, he decides he's going to fill that thing up halfway with gunpowder. So what I did was I took this bottle and I filled it halfway up with gunpowder, and then I took a long piece of paper towel I rolled it up
halfway.
And so I take this piece
so much.
I take this paper towel and I
the
roll
wadding.
it out.
You little wadding. Oh, that's your fuse?
No, I was making a fuse. And then I took a candle and I melted wax on it. And while I was melting the wax, I was dropping gunpowder into the melted wax, and I crushed it in so it would just keep burning up, right? To make sure. I had this all thought out, and I had put the fuse into the bottle, and I had the lighter in my hand, and I was striking the lighter, and my dad had come home unbeknownst to me and walked in. Like, what the fuck's that boy doing? Why's the basement door open, the light on? And so he came downstairs and saw me in the basement striking a lighter, and he's like, "Oh, what?" And he kicked me clear across the basement. So he tells a story. He's like, "I get down there." He's like, "I get down there, and that silly little motherfucker's got a goddamn lighter. He's about ready to light that thing." He's like, I look at it, and I was like, I know exactly what it is because he's an idiot. And I'm like, he's like, I get down, I kicked him halfway across the.
You're inside the basement doing.
I was in the basement. He's like, I kicked that little shit across the goddamn basement. I was like, what do you think you're doing? And he said, little asshole turned and looked at me. He said, I'm building a bomb. He's like, I looked at him, I was like, in the basement?
I would have fucking kicked you across the basement too, man.
He's like, straight face, this little asshole turns and looks at me. He says, well, it's raining outside. And I was like, what the fuck? How can I really argue with him? Because it was raining outside. It'd be hard to light that thing.
Oh boy. The things we do to have a good time.
See, that's just an Ohio upbringing right there.
That's what that is. If I ever heard one, that is what that is.
So,
yeesh.
Well, I know that it's late, and I appreciate your
Dude,
your company
it's
on
been
this.
It's been a blast.
It's always
pun
fun.
intended. Pun intended. It's been a blast.
Been a blast. Yeah, it's always fun. I had John on 2 nights ago, and I was like, "Hey, John, are you delivering food?" And he's like, "Yep."
Dude,
I'm like,
I cannot believe that he hopped on that live stream while he was fucking door dashing.
He did it to me. He did it with me, and he's like, "I got to run into IHOP and get this food for these guys." And he came back out, and I was like, "Where you go?" He got on the goddamn freeway, and he drove. I was like, "Jesus Christ, John!"
Yeah. Yeah, and his little fucking Mazda cruising cracks me up, dude. He cracks me up.
Even
when he's not trying to be funny, he kills me.
I told somebody, I was like, you should go check out John on his live feeds, and they came in, and it was one of those times where John was like just sitting there and not really doing anything,
saying nothing,
saying nothing, and this dude texts me, he goes, "Is this a fucking joke?"
This is like, bullshit. Like, this is fucking this live stream is bullshit, dude.
He's like, "This is some bullshit here. You just send me this shit. What the fuck? Are you high? Is this a joke?" And I was like, "What?" And
yes, the answer is yes. I'm always high.
No, I'm really not. Well, I am today, but I log into John's feed, and John's just sitting there, like kind of like this, like.
Yeah, hey, yeah. No, the best is when you can tell he's on his phone, and he's just like.
Right.
And there's like 30 people watching him do that. Like, what do you? That boy is something else.
I'll tell you the best thing I ever did in my entire life, as far as dumb shit that I've done, but the one that ranks up there. We used to go to Bali.
Hell yeah, dude. I want to go really bad. We might go for our honeymoon.
We would go to Bali like twice a year, and I would hang out, and we would go. We had made friends with this guy. And oh man, it's just horrible because I was in the military. There was zero tolerance, but we would go to this place, and there was a dude that we knew there at this go-kart course who could go and get us shrooms. And we would have them come back, and we would drop shrooms and wait till they kicked in and go drive go-karts.
Dude.
And I was like,
sign me up.
My God, it was like Mario Kart in real life.
You got turtle shells whizzing past you. It's wild, dude.
Nuts. And I'm sure that if you were watching us, we're like, "Oh my God, I'm going so fast." If you were up there, like
you're going like 8 miles an hour,
like just not even on the throttle, just fucking idling around the track. I'm pretty
you're just in idle. Dude, sign me up.
So
I never see every time I drop shrooms or any kind of hallucinogen. I've done it. I've tried it all. That's another part of Ohio upbringings, I think, is you got to try everything once. You know what I mean?
I didn't do meth and I didn't do coke, but pretty much everything else was fucking
no coke.
No coke. Come on, dude. Can you imagine what I would be like on coke? I'd be a monster. It'd be horrible.
I gotta tell you, it doesn't do anything to me. I've done a lot of it all at once. It does nothing to me because I'm always at this level, right? I'm always at peak outrageousness level.
Just my friends are like, "Dude, like you're an asshole. Like you're fucking like you don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. If you were on coke, you would be a fucking monster. It would be like
really
not
interesting.
Interesting. I've been around friends.
Yeah, no meth, no heroin, but other than that, I've
I didn't do heroin, but I definitely did hillbilly heroin. You know, come on.
It's the same thing.
So where I grew up, so you can relate to this. You know what
opiates. That's another Ohio thing.
Yeah, that's exactly that's what I was gonna say. I'm in Appalachia, so like if you watch The Wild Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, that's
love it. One of my all-time favorite movies.
Okay, so that's like a family reunion for me without having to get on a fucking plane.
Yeah, you don't have to go anywhere.
And people are like, "No, it's not like that, right?" And I'm like,
"Oh, it is. It is." Have you been listening to the stories we've been telling this evening? It 100% is, dude.
Oh,
that's funny.
Crush them pills. Like the whole reason is like I look at that and I can see in those stories, The Wild Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. I can see like when they take the baby because that chick, like because the baby was already addicted to painkillers.
Yeah,
she was snorting pills. Like even before they took the baby, I was like, "Oh, they're gonna have that baby for at least 2 days and probably not even get it after that because it's gonna go." And like we were watching it, and my friend was like, "Have you seen this shit before?" And I was like, "No." He's like,
yes.
How do you know? I was like,
"I lived it."
I was like, because that's pretty much my fucking family. It's like
lived it, man.
Not even joking. The Navy recruiter, all he had to say was, "Hey, Mike." Like he came and he was like,
"You want to get out of here, pal?
You want to get out of here?
Mm-hmm.
I can make that shit happen."
Yes,
and please. I was like, "Fucking sign me up, bro."
And we'll pay you for it. Oh shit.
That's actually not true, but it kind of worked that way. I wanted to be a Marine. And every time I went, the
Boone County mating call. Do you see Patina Turner's comment?
Yeah.
Boone County mating call, shake the pill bottle.
So I would go to the recruiter's office. I go to the Marine recruiter's office like every fucking day. And that dude just was never there. I found out later it's because he wound up getting in trouble because he was fucking some high school chick. Because that
Nice.
fucking Marines, you know?
Nice.
And so he got some
Score.
trouble. So the Navy recruiter, I show up one day, I'm knocking on a Marine recruiter's door, and he goes, "Son, that guy ain't here. He ain't been here for like a month." He's like, "But I can help you." And I was like, "Yeah, but I was going to be a Marine." He goes, "I'll let you pick whatever. I'll let you pick whatever goddamn job you want if it's available." And I was like, "All right, I'm listening." And so, but basically, I was like, "I don't know." And he goes, "What are you going to do? Stay here?" He's like, "You got the steel mill, you got the meat packing plant, and
you got the coal mine that's closed."
It wasn't closed. And you got the paper mill. He's like, "The only other thing you got going is where they make the flags over there." He goes, "That's
you
want to
be a seamstress? You want to be a seamstress?"
He's like, actually, my hometown, like the county seat, the company that makes every flag for the United States military, that's where they're at. That's like the only, that's
Ohio,
the only
baby.
business.
Oh, I hit myself in the face
just
with
down
my
the
rag.
road, just around the road from the Great Big Basket at Longaberger.
The big empty basket now.
The big empty basket.
It's closed forever. Longaberger went out of business, man. R.I.P. That's another thing. If you grew up in Ohio, you had 10 Longabergers. You had 10 of them, at least. If you didn't have 10, you had 100 of them.
That's what you threw your goddamn car keys in when you walked in the door. The little Longaberger basket.
Two things. You had a Longaberger and you knew someone or you yourself worked for Avon at some point. Avon. 100%.
Oh, Mary Kay.
Mary Kay as well.
Pink cars.
The
pink cars
everywhere. They're still everywhere. They're still fucking everywhere, dude.
Oh,
they're all over.
Out here, it's different.
There's that Ohio boy. There he is. I found him. I pulled him out.
I have a friend that watched the Wild Wonderful Whites of West Virginia with me, and he's like, "Can you translate?" Like I had to translate for him. We were doing it on 2.7, like Nico and I did that time. But he was like, "Bro, you have to translate shit for me." He's like, "I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about." And I was like, "Well, that's because over where I live in that area, and then into West Virginia, it's a throwback to like the 1700s. Like that's shit like pick and a poke, things like that." People are like, "What's that?"
Dude, it's bizarre because when I watch that movie, I'm like, every word makes perfect sense. It's Have you seen more serious movie? Not nearly as enjoyable or entertaining, but equally as sad. Fuck. It's literally about
I'm pretty sure that I watched some porn earlier. Is that what we're talking about?
It's called Fuck. No, it's a Netflix original directed by Ron Howard. Help me. Anybody? It's about the folks that came up. It's based on the book about the folks that came up from Kentucky looking for a job at Armco Steel in Middletown, Ohio.
I was gonna say that's Middletown.
Middletown, Hamilton. Yep. Fuck, dude. What is it called? Hillbilly Elegy.
I have not seen it.
You need to watch it.
Then again, here's the thing. Typically, I'm editing, I'm sharpening, I'm filming. If I'm watching something, it's something I've watched like 100 times because it's just there for background noise.
Yeah, pick a night. It's a good one.
Typically,
it's about your people. It's about your people, Mike.
I know.
It's very sad, very depressing. And it's about your people like in the 70s, 80s, and 90s when everything was really fucked up.
Oh, it was.
Even more so than it was now in Ohio, Southwest Ohio. But if anybody's seen that movie, that's where I grew up.
Yes, Southeast, Southwest, it doesn't matter. Ohio is just like people, like my grandfather. I asked him, I was like, "What was it like getting through the Great Depression?" He goes, "Great Depression." I had to do a paper, and he was like, ask someone in your family, because back then everybody had a grandfather that knew something about the Great Depression, or a neighbor.
Right.
And so I was like, "Grandpa, I got to do this paper." I was like, "What was it like? What was it like during the Great Depression? How bad was it?" And he goes, "Great Depression." I said, "What was it like?" And he's like, "It didn't really matter to us. We was pretty depressed to begin with."
Yeah, we were poor. We were fucked in the beginning. We were fucked before it all started.
We were fucking dirt poor to begin with. It didn't fucking you can't take shit that you don't have.
Yep. We didn't run on the bank. We didn't have anything in it. Yep.
Right. Well, they came out one time and says they was going to repossess the farm, and we were like, "All right, try."
Well, Walt Gilbert's seen it. Hillbilly Elegy, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
I think Murky Ocean and I typically do movie day on Sunday from like 11.
I wouldn't do this one for movie day. I wouldn't do this one.
Why? I got plenty of weed.
Well, I don't know, man. It's a bummer. It's a bummer start to finish.
Am I going to look at it and go, oh, that's my grandparents?
You're going to, yes, it follows this a family that ends up in Ohio, the southern part of Ohio. They come up from Appalachia, they come up from Kentucky to get better jobs, right? Because there's nothing to do anymore, right? In Kentucky, all the coal mines closed and everything. There
wasn't much to do in Kentucky to begin with.
But they literally, it starts with them coming out of the holler, and then it follows generation by generation by generation, all the way up through like the present day. Yeah. And it's based on his book, which is incredible. Hillbilly Elegy is an amazing book. But that's how my family ended up in Ohio. Was literally those steps. They came up out of the holler.
Well, I guarantee that's mine too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a lot to. But the issue is their story is a lot of drugs, a lot of struggles and strife. But it is.
Well, if it's about the 70s, and I grew up I was born in 74.
Well, Gilbert, it is a heartbreaking flick.
Yeah,
but
I think I know what you're talking about now. My sister told me about it. My sister and I are both somewhere on the spectrum with autism, but like my sister, I'm like the guy that would learn like Greek mythology and shit like that.
Well, everybody's saying do it on movie night. So if you do it on movie night, I'll stop in.
It's going to be me and Murky. It's only ever me and Murky, or me and David Green.
Patina Turner says she's in.
I think
TP in the house. Excuse me.
Pretty sure Patina might be a guy. I've always assumed. I make assumptions. I'm sorry, Patina. If you're not, I apologize.
Okay. Well, either way, Patina Turner's in.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. This has been fun. This went 31 minutes longer than I thought it was. We were going to end it at like an hour, and this is what
I made it to 1 o'clock, boys. I made it to 1 o'clock. My wife.
This is what happened. This is what happened on the live feed that we did with me, you, and John. It's just a lot of fun. I enjoy. There's a handful of people I enjoy doing this with. I've done it with a handful of people. Well, I mean, of course I did before I got married. You don't go and just buy the first pair of pants you put on. At any rate, so I've done.
Wait,
I've
don't?
done the live feed stuff now. I've done the live feed stuff with a bunch of people, and there's a handful of people who stand out, like you, Jim Skelton, Nick Shabazz, Jared, and of course, Mr. Aaron Frederick. You can't. Oh my God! Like that's the only one that I put up on Apple iTunes, and Apple sent me a message back like, you're not in violation, but you can't put this one up. And I had even hit explicit content, and they were like, yeah,
they still were like, dial it back.
This is a rough
dial
one.
It back.
But here's the thing: iTunes or YouTube still hasn't monetized. It's monetized.
Yeah, dude. The only time my stuff gets knocked down for monetization is if I'm like the music.
Yeah,
it's
fine. You can contest it, especially if you're using like I do, which everything's licensed through Apple. So
I'd use Epidemic Sound. It's great.
Yeah. Well, guys, this has been fun. I'm going to end this. I am going to probably do I got time. I might do an after show because I don't have anything planned for tomorrow. So stand by. You might see a notification for an after show come up, and I will talk to you guys later. Cole, I'm going to
It's been a pleasure.
And I will end this in just
love y'all. Good to see you.
Don't log out yet, though.
I'm not going anywhere, buddy.
Okay, cool.
We'll see you.
So, guys, yep, that's it. Like I said, give me about 5-10 minutes. I have to micturate. So that means I got to go pee. So yeah, I'll be back in maybe 5-10 minutes. So you guys take it easy. I'll put up the after show link in a minute.